A very good morning to you. Welcome to Friday on the AM show. It's another beautiful day, isn't it? Always glad to be here and serve you. My name is Benjamin Akakpo. I'm always here together with Bernice, Abu-Baidoo, Lansah. Thank you for choosing us. Now, coming up this morning, we'll have our news shortly. Right after that, the news review. I'll be joined by Samuel Kojo Brace, my colleague. And right after that, we get into our big stories. We start from the standpoint of party politics, the NDC specifically. Esiedun Ketia, the mosquito, as he's called, has vowed to unseat Ofosu Ampofo in the championship race. But what will happen? Will he be able to bite Ofosu Ampofo for that chairmanship battle? In 24 hours, the opposition NDC will go to the polls to elect its national officers for the next 4 years. As part of their mandate, these executives will be required to wrest power from the governing NPP. So we have Ofosu Ampofo, incumbent national chairman. We have Esiedun Ketia, his major competitor. We also have the current general secretary for the party. That position is also up for grabs. A little down the ladder, Dr. Peter Otokuno, current deputy general secretary, seeks to move up to occupy the top spot as general secretary. But he faces competition from old dogs like Elvis Ifri-Ankra and former Ketu South MP Fifi Kwete. Well, as always, we, your election headquarters, will provide you with up-to-the-minute coverage on Saturday. But the build-up starts today on the AM show from right here. We'll be warming up to what we can expect on Saturday. But again, on Sunday, the World Cup will come to an end. We'll see France doing a back-to-back. Is that what we're going to see? Or is it going to be Lionel Messi's Argentina grabbing the only trophy that's eluded him throughout his illustrious career? We'll bring you analysis of this game, plus the battle for bronze medals between Morocco and Croatia. The sports team has that analysis on the show. For me, I'm wondering whether France will become the third nation to win back-to-back World Cup trophies. Yes, we'll find out. But I've also got blunt thoughts for you today. I'll be sharing with you, and my title, Back to the IMF, but with the same weak fundamentals. Why it won't work. Find out why I'm saying that. We'll also tell you about Let Single Parents Smile, that foundation and their activities this Yuletide. Together, we can make many more people smile, even in these turbulent economic times. But as always, we'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts with us via the live stream, #AMShow, or call at the end to express your thoughts. For now, though, let's settle for the news with yours truly, after which we serve you the news review. Do stay. Thank you for staying. Welcome to the news on the AM show. In our first story, President Akufo-Addo is courting the support of the United States to ward off possible security threats to Ghana being posed by what he describes as Russian mercenaries mining along the northern borders of Ghana. The president says the Russian Wagner Group is being compensated with a mine very close to Ghana's northern border to help the insurgency in Burkina Faso. President Akufo-Addo spoke in a meeting with the U.S. Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, as part of the U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit happening in Washington.
It's very important that ECOWAS and the West African area remains a democratic space. It's the reason for the actions we took over the coups d'etats in Burkina Faso, in Mali, and in Guinea. And ECOWAS has been very consistent in refusing to deal with these governments because of the undemocratic nature of their accession to power. The commitment to democratic values and institutions is a high priority for our states. We in Ghana have been through all kinds of arrangements, governance arrangements in the past, There's one party state, all kinds of experiments have taken place. And our people are not very clear in their mind. They want to go down the avenue of democratic engagement. And that is why the last 30 years of the Fourth Republic have been the most stable in our country's history. We want to do everything to preserve that. But there are enemies of democracy who are working hard in West Africa today. And therefore it's important that we bring that matter to your notice and see to what extent we can engage you as a reliable partner in the pushback of those forces. There are other areas, of course, of great significance too, the cooperation for economic growth and for the development and for the making of prosperity for our people, which is to some extent part and parcel of the same fight. If the young people have things to do, they're not going to be recruits for terrorist forces. So all of that is part and parcel. But specifically, what we can do about the terrorist threat in West Africa is now the major security concern of all our states, especially the coastal states, that up to now, to the last 6 months, have been relatively free of this threat. But now on all our common borders of Benin, Togo, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, are these forces that are operating there. And we have to find a way to be able to respond and respond effectively to protect our populations.
Now, Chairman of Parliament's Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee, Kwame Enyimadu Entry, says salary issues of the Office of the Special Prosecutor have been resolved. Exclusive documents available to JoyNews indicate that the Special Prosecutor, Kisi Ejabing, and the staff are yet to receive their salaries 16 months after assuming office. Kwame Enyimadu Entry says a meeting was held between his committee and the Chief Director of the Finance Ministry, who represented the minister. Without giving details, he said the salary issues had now been dealt with.
The minority leader speaks. It's good that he has his ears on the ground, because at the committee level, it came up. And just yesterday, we invited the Minister of Finance, and he was represented by no mean a person, by the Chief Director, and we have resolved the issues. And we have incorporated that, the issue that you raised, that, Mr. Speaker, Honorable Haruna would agree with me, that once the issue that he is talking about is already incorporated in the report, he must not be in a rush to actually talk about it when we have not laid a report. So on this note, if Mr. Speaker grants me the leave and the indulgence of the House, I may want to lay the items five together.
Well, Majority Chief Whip Frank Anodom-Presser's government must intervene to force traders to drive down prices of goods after a period of sustained appreciation of the Ghana cedi. The Member of Parliament for Nsawam, Iduajiri, also cited the fall in petroleum prices, which he believes should influence the downward adjustment of prices of goods and transportation fares. But the minority disagrees with him. Kwekwa Asante is our man in Parliament and observed the debate.
Over the past few days, the cedi has regained strength and at some point was the strongest performer against the dollar. Majority Chief Whip Frank Anodom-Presser says the government must intervene to drive down prices.
The concern also is that while we are currently experiencing a turnaround from the depreciation, the expected economic relief is not being felt by the ordinary Ghanaians, since goods are still being sold at high prices. Speaker, I make this submission urging the executive and its policymakers to take additional measures directed at restoring price of food items and other goods to some sustainable level.
Chairman of the Finance Committee, Kwaku Kwatin, backed this position.
Mr. Speaker, to use the policy rate as an excuse for profiteers who cited exchange rate deterioration for increase in prices, that they are unable to do that now because of the policy rate.
But the minority leader, Haruna Idrisu, says as a free market, government should not be encouraged to intervene in the pricing of goods and services.
Well, Speaker, I'm limited because he states that he comes under Order 72, and therefore I'm unable to provoke debate. But the political tradition that he belongs to, the property-owning democracy, recognizes economics and recognizes that demand and supply dictates what happens in the market in a liberalized economy such as ours. So, Mr. Speaker, don't go and make statement on worry market women at Makola or in Ababu or in Techima market who are selling based on demand and supply.
MP for North Tong, Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, and MP for Yape Kuswao, John Jinapo, also argued that there are other factors that have led to the increase in the prices of goods. And without addressing these factors, prices will stay up.
It is a good call for us to urge the actors in the market to respond. But I think that the commentary has sometimes been unfair, as though people are just being wicked and don't want to be caring.
The IMF announcement coincided with the reduction. But those of us who've done economics will just tell you there's a relationship. You can't claim causality.
The Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, over the course of this week, advised members to review prices downwards after some sustained gains by the Ghana cedi. Some traders ticked against that, and now that this matter is being discussed in Parliament, the pressure is going to be on the traders to do something about prices, although some traders maintain that the stock they have currently were purchased at the time that the cedi was performing very badly. But the ordinary Ghanaian is calling for some intervention from government. Reporting for JoyNews, Kweku Asante, Parliament House, Accra.
In our next story, Associate Professor for Surgery at the University of Ghana Medical School, Professor Michael Ohineyeboah, is advocating an increase in the premium for surgical operations under the National Health Insurance Scheme. This, according to the professor, would reduce the cost burden on health facilities and also encourage patients to seek early treatment for health conditions. Professor Ohineyeboah made the remarks during an outreach program to provide surgical services to patients at the Rara Government Hospital in the Oti region. Peter Senu has more in this report.
The outreach program by Rara Government Hospital was in collaboration with the Kuntini for the Rara traditional area. Nana Berima Kwekweisi the first. Surgical services for goiter, hernia, fibroid, among others, were provided. The program, according to Professor Ohineyeboah, the lead surgeon, was to bring specialist care to the rural communities, which mostly is centralized at major referral facilities.
Essential surgery, which is basic surgical care, is the right of all people, wherever they are. However, the resources are not uniformly available. And therefore, especially surgical expertise, which in Ghana is available in the cities, has to find a way to reach the people in the rural areas. My motivation is to spread my surgical skills, the benefit of all Ghanaians, including those living in the rural communities.
Considering the expensive nature of surgical services across the globe, Professor Ohineyeboah is advocating for an increase in premium payment for surgical services at the next review of the National Health Insurance Scheme.
As a surgeon, I'm aware of the cost of surgical care, both in the equipment and resource persons. And based on this, I am advocating really that in the next review of the policy, special attention is paid to surgical care so that the premium for surgical operations perhaps may be a bit higher than the ordinary premiums for the other aspects of healthcare, because surgery is so expensive everywhere in the world.
The medical superintendent for the Rara Government Hospital, Dr. Maunyo Apiadido, says one of the reasons for the outreach program is to promote the health-seeking attitude of residents in the catchment area. the health-seeking attitude of the residents in the area he bemoaned as bad, with some residents sometimes arriving at the facility late with complications.
Health is wealth. And in providing healthcare to our clients, we decided to make sure that we can promote the health-seeking behavior of our community members. Per my observation, the general health-seeking behavior of Ghanaians, and then specifically to my catchment area, is very poor. There's delay in seeking healthcare. The delay also go with other superstitions. They tend to report late, where most of the cases are almost complicated. And then in regards, we decided to organize this outreach to promote better health-seeking behavior. In other words, report early to be managed to prevent complication or even death.
Peter Sanu for JoyNews.
Well, eScript Solutions Limited has launched an online medical delivery app to help in efficient and convenient medical delivery. The new app, MedFind, will allow people to order and pay for medical prescriptions just by downloading the app onto their device. Programs Manager of eScript Solutions Limited, Freeman Echampong, assures that the app will help give subscribers timely, quality medication in the comfort of their location.
MedFind has come to make sure that you get quality medication on time, okay, without going through one family, using the legwork or moving, spending money on transportation, with the risk of even accidents and stuff like that, just all to go and look for medication. So MedFind has come to, solve all this, and also to provide quality healthcare to people.
Well, right before we go, pupils of the University of Health and Allied Sciences Basic School have extended a helping hand to the inmates of Madamfo Ghana Children's Shelter in Ho. The pupils presented toiletries, foodstuffs, toys and clothing they purchased with savings from their daily pocket money. The gesture was to put smiles on the faces of the inmates and instill in them the qualities of leadership.
Madamfo Ghana, a non-governmental organization, was founded by Bettina Landgraf, a German, and his two Ghanaian friends, Victor Menu and the late Emmanuel Stevenson. The shelter was constructed in 2012 to house child slaves rescued from Volta Lake, abused children, orphans, and abandoned children. It currently houses over 45 inmates. To exhibit love and support to the inmates, pupils of UHA's Basic School purchased some assorted items and presented them to the shelter. A Basic 5 pupil, Joel Arthur Asma, said they were only practicing what they were taught in religious and moral education to give alms to the less privileged in society.
We have given these items because it is part of our motto, learning today and leading tomorrow. And one of the qualities of a leader is to share and not to expect things from society. And as we learned in RME, which is religious and moral education, in the Islam religion, they have a pillar of Islam, which is zakat, that gives to the poor. And also in Christianity and traditionalism, we also do the same. That is why we are here to give items.
The headmaster, Seth Kunga, said the donation would become an annual event on the school's calendar.
We are here because we are training them to be future leaders of this nation and the continent. And as future leaders, we are training them to know that when you are a leader, it is better for you to give than to expect to get from your subordinates or society or the nation. That is why what they have brought here are part of what they need to enjoy. Their Christmas goodies, their dresses that are not worn out, money and everything. Some of them saved money to be able to do this, but we can give some of our teachers to come here and then partner with them, because these children are in their formative ages. And then if they are giving good foundation academically, we hope that they will do well in future.
The Deputy Director of Madam Fo Ghana Children's Shelter, Alex Kpejigo Komla, appreciated the gesture by the pupils ahead of the Christmas.
In all this category of food stuff given to us, it will go a long way to bless the children, because the children need it a lot. And this is the moment they need it, and it has come at the right time. So we are blessed to have the items. It will bless them.
Fred Kwame Asai, Joy News. Ho.
And that's how we end the news this morning. Stay with us. We get into the papers next for the news review. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Let us dig into the papers now. And I'm joined by my partner in good things.
Good things, yes.
Samuel Kojo Briggs. Though sometimes he's naughty and he does all kinds of other things that I would rather not have him do. On a more serious note, he's a fantastic human being. Charlie, it's been a while. You dogged me, Chair. Or is it because you were in the Western region?
Yeah, Charlie. I had to.
Boga.
Yeah, I had to go and take some stories from that place. And today, fortunately, we were playing one of them. You know, there are fantastic things happening in those areas. One of them, when I was exposed to it, I was like, wow. Because we've all known Chamfine to be used for very bad things.
Yes.
In terms of destroying the environment.
Right.
So when I heard a certain SHS graduate is using it to produce power for his community that is not connected to the national grid, I was really excited and grateful that the story has been done and today is going to be aired. So yeah, one thing I also saw was that they have bad roads, Ben. As for that one.
Yeah, you mentioned the last time.
Yeah, government would have to do something about it. From
where specifically? Is it
from Bodier?
Bodier.
So Bodier.
Okay.
From Bodier to so there's a teaser of what you see.
Wow.
I mean, this is the road leading to that community. It's called Jantua Chrome. We're driving around was it around 8:39 p.m. on this road, and I was like, are we really going to a community? Yeah, but the road from Bodier to Asankragua is terrible, and that should be a major road, though, linking two major towns, Bodier and Asankragua. Asankragua is the capital of that particular municipality, so to have the road linking the two in such a deplorable nature. I just couldn't understand why we would do that to such a place. And you know, that place is one of the leading places where we get cocoa from.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, one of the leading cocoa production areas in Ghana. Lot of cocoa. I mean, on my way, I met not less than 10 trucks, you know, cutting cocoa from that area to Harbour in Takrady. So, really, government would have to compensate the people by fixing that particular road. And I saw an ambulance driving on the road, and it occurred to me that, look, if anybody should be seriously ill and we have to transport a person on that particular road, if God does not intervene, the person might not make it because the road is...
So you see why sometimes I find it really problematic. This is a major cocoa producing area.
Yeah.
You get your resources that fund your budget, that ensure that you can meet your economic obligations as a country. And yet you would think that you would want to put there the best roads so that the goods can be carted to the major centers. And you see why sometimes the smuggling happens, not because I support it, but with better prices in some neighboring countries and others, you would have people opt to leave because they'll think, bad roads, transport fares, it will impact the eventual price and everything. Why not?
So it makes
you
them
see how
feel,
for some other produce,
it makes them feel
why
rejected.
we lose out.
And when they feel rejected and someone is giving them a better pricing, they'll run to the person. So government would have to really pay particular attention to that area. What I saw was not good at all, really. The road was really bad.
Well, we'll get into some of those.
Once probably I talk about that, I may probably have to give an update on the Takwa-Nkwanta road. I drove on it.
Right.
compared to the last 2 months or so when I used it,
right,
this is a little better.
It's a little better. So what work has been done?
So what they've done is that they've tried to scrape off most of the terrible portions of the road. The only part that is left is between, just before Dumping, and between Dumping and this place where we have the river. But it's a popular place. How can I forget this?
I'm not sure which one you're speaking.
It's one of the places that Erastus brought the river from. Lansah.
The Lansah River is what you're speaking of.
So between Dumping and Lansah, that place has not been touched. It's still terrible. I even busted tie there. But for that portion, all the other portions where there were very bad potholes, they have either tried to fill them or scrape them off. So when driving on it, it's quite better than it used to be 2 months ago. So I mean, that's something that probably we should. I should report. It's not like we are applauding government. That's its responsibility. But yeah,
right.
I should let people know that it's quite a little better. But when you're driving between Dumping and Lansah, be careful because that portion is still in a terrible shape.
Before we get into the papers, I'd like to know what your take is on some developments. Special prosecutor, 16 months on, no salary. And not just him, so his deputy, other workers who came along the line. And that, for me, I found it so interesting. You know why? Because for me, it says a lot about whether we mean to fight corruption. And do you know why it's scandalous for me? You follow the trajectory of what happened to Martin Alamisi Benz Kaiser Amidu. And the things he complained about
and I'm told he's still,
for years.
He's still old.
And how he went through. So I felt that, okay, let's turn a new chapter. You've brought in a new person. The script is still the same.
It's still the same. It hasn't changed. Our commitment probably is questionable. It's not probably, it is questionable. Because if you look at what has been happening, are we committed to the Special Prosecutor's Office or we are not really? To owe someone who we have empowered to fight corruption, and the people he is fighting with are not like you and I. These are the high and mighty in society, people who really can put brown envelopes on the table to convince you, to confuse you on what you're doing. And if this guy is not being paid, you ask yourself, how is he then executing his role?
His mandate.
And then how is he even living such that he's able to fend off all of those gestures from these people who do everything to ensure that they stay in the unscrupulous business. So government, with this revelation, has really not done itself a lot of good. For us to know that he's not been paying, or government has not been paying the man and his staff for 16 months. Yesterday when we calculated, he is owed over 520,000 Ghana cedis. If you're looking at the amount he has to be paid every month.
520,000.
5.2 billion old cedis. That's a lot of money for a young man like that. 520,000. And you are not paying him. If you have an unscrupulous person he's investigating come to him with an envelope that contains $1 million, what would he do? If you don't get someone who is so sincere and his integrity is intact and he's so jealous about his integrity, he will take it and fend off.
And Kisi Ejabeng is somewhat of a friend as a former lecturer. He taught me criminal law.
Okay.
And I know he has principles, okay? But sometimes they say, you know how they say an idle hand is the devil's workshop and opportunity makes the thief. There's a very nice rendition of it in Spanish. So the point is, someone may even be good. And I'm not saying him specifically, but sometimes when you push people to the wall, that is when disaster strikes. That's where the devil is.
Like people say, do we eat integrity? Do we use integrity to pay your school fees? So it gets to a point where when the challenges hit him and someone has a $1 million envelope on the table, what do you expect the guy to do? So government should do the needful. I don't know why we are owing him.
And every time there must be some whistle blowing or something before. That is what I don't get. Now you have the MPP, the head of the committee, come and it's been resolved. Where is the proof? What exactly shows it's been resolved? You remember when the finance ministry, there were ghost names and all of that. The money has been refunded.
Where are they?
Just
when it happened to the first lady and the second lady, you remember, they showed evidence of them paying back into the government coffers, isn't it? We saw evidence of that. They showed us the transaction, whatever. So, I mean, these things should let us, but it hasn't, it should not get here. It tells of our unseriousness, in quote, to the office. Because this office was it a panacea to fighting corruption among political
in this country, nothing is a panacea to anything. I saw in yesterday's daily graphic, IMF then panacea to it. Is not a panacea anywhere.
I'm saying that
we don't have any panaceas.
When we created the OSP, the feeling we got was that now we are going to tackle corruption head on. I mean, you were there. Well, we all here. When Martin Amidu was even given the mandate to be the first person occupying that position, we said, wow, voila, we're going to end this. Didn't we say this? I said it. A lot of Ghanaians believed that we were going to do something. And then Martin, with all the problems that he faced, had to resign. Then people started asking questions. Really, are you going to achieve something? So when you feel like we are going to get somewhere, then our, do I say ineptitude? It is. Maybe it is not. But our unserious nature really exposes the intent, the real intent behind it.
And me, I'll say this, Samuel. The seriousness from the top is what will trickle down.
Oh, exactly.
It's like in Singapore, when the leader says, we've done all of these things, like other developing countries have done. There's going to be a shift in mindset, actions and everything. You do this, you'll get caught. You do that, Everybody was whipped in line. And then those growing up fed into that generational thinking. And now it has become a certain way of life for them. Because some people don't know anything else apart from that way of life, which has consolidated their national life. You come here, and what example do our leaders themselves set?
Leadership is everything, really.
And today, as I share my blunt thoughts, I'll go hard on some of those because it's simply not working in this country. And our leaders are compounding the problem. Recently, something I'll share in my blunt thoughts. I felt bad because I read an article from Bloomberg, and they were actually literally mocking us as a country. And you look at everything we have.
And we still have to go around begging.
You know, I found it funny the other day at the IMF SLA, staff level agreement, joint presser, and in the background, it was written there, Ghana beyond aid. And we're still...
But that's not aid. The IMF is not aid, is it? It's a loan. We're going to pay back.
Masa, we should get beyond all of these. I keep citing the example, the British or the English variously. In the 80s, they went to the IMF for a program. They were in dire straits, on the ropes. Since that time, they've not gone again. Ask yourself why. The Spanish have a saying, nunca jamás, never again. There are some things that some of these more advanced democracies would not, they would say, this is it, we are not going back. How many times have we been to the IMF?
It looks like our nature is to borrow. Because you wonder why we still borrow in this time to buy cocoa. That thing, I still can't understand the whole arithmetic around it. That we've had cocoa all these years. We've not been able to save up enough such that we can buy cocoa out of our own resources. But we're always, I don't know, is it something that it is supposed to happen and that's why it happens or what? Because if we still have to go for a syndicated loan before we are able to buy cocoa,
and do you know how long that has been going on?
It doesn't cut.
It's practically every year.
That's why I'm asking whether it is standard practice that it has to happen.
Same scenario.
I mean, I don't get it, really.
Same scenario.
Why haven't we
the country doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Why haven't we been able to save up all this while we've been selling cocoa? So that at a point, we are not going to need your loan.
Some problems we've grappled with. Look at how even recently the Volta Aluminium company and the problems there.
Wow.
All of these were the brainchild of Nkrumah and how it started in 1966, I think 67, thereabouts. Some other projects were supposed to come into full completion, but of course we know what happened on the 24th of February, the year prior to that. Some of the things, silos for our farm products, and some of them rotting away. Yet we keep complaining about post-harvest losses and all of that. It appears 60 plus years on, we've not put our thinking caps on, and we still can't deal with issues that some 60 years ago, there was a roadmap for, clear, do it this way. 60 years on, we still have leaders who, like KSM shared on my show the last time, they are thinking analog when we are in a digital world.
Yeah.
Charlie, let's get into the papers.
There's this farmer I spoke with in Takrade, Isa Wadrago, and he had a grant to construct a warehouse for vegetables in Takrade, such that we could have employed about 1,000 youth growing vegetables, and that warehouse could have stored them so we could sell to the oil companies. Because the oil companies do import these vegetables from Ivory Coast and other places. The grant gets in, and you know what politicians do? They divert the fund to other people. We don't know where the project is now.
Classic case of Sikamu Matreko.
Oh, I mean, this country is interesting. I was speaking with Professor Gordon, the environmentalist at the University of Ghana. He says he doesn't understand why we still are used to bottles, the plastic bottles, when we have a lot of the materials to produce glass in this country. Charlie, this country, we have to, I don't know, there has to be a drastic change, something that will...
Look, let me tell you, we need a change in leadership.
Yes.
And I'm not necessarily saying, I mean, those alternatives, NDC, MPP, no, that's not what I mean. We need a change in leadership. We need more young people in leadership. My only fear is that some of the young people too, because of the system, they've been compromised. But we need young people with vibrant thinking, creative thinking to spur on this country. We need people with integrity. We need digital thinking people, not analog ones. There are so many. God help Ghana.
Yeah. God help
Ghana. Charlie, let's get into the papers we have. I have the Daily Graphic, the Finder. What do you have?
I have the Daily Guide, the Chronicle, and the Publisher, the Ghanaian Publisher.
All right.
Okay, so the Daily Guide. Special prosecutor battles Colonel Damwa. Hey, that story won't go away anytime soon. I don't know how to lie. That's according to General Mosquito. Reduce prices of goods, services, according to Ano Dompre. Now, let me bring you details of the special prosecutor and the Damwa battle. Now, the battle line appears to have been drawn between special prosecutor Kise Jabeng and the immediate past commissioner of Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Colonel Kwadwo Damwa, retired, as they prepare to face off in court. Colonel Damwa and a deputy commissioner of the Customs, Joseph Eduche, have sued the special prosecutor and one other for maligning them in the office of the special prosecutor's investigation into the La Bianca report saga. They are asking the court to dismiss the investigative report by the special prosecutor into the activities of La Bianca Company Limited, a frozen foods importing company. Ben, this will be interesting, really. I mean, I would want to know how this progresses in court. The court dismissed that investigative report. I mean, I would want to know the argument that both counsels will be putting up.
Time will tell.
I want to be in court to witness this special one. Okay,
you want to go with Joseph Akable and see feely what happens.
I really want to witness this one because this will be special. I'm not sure it's a case that we've ever seen that a special prosecutor has done an investigative report and then an individual who's cited in the report says that court put it aside. There's nothing in it. What sort of argument? And
let's see how they slug it out. But this posturing also smacks of the impunity with which, because look, time and again, people have said that. People are even pointed to Charles Bissiou and the rest. And a certain route will be used and say, these people are being cleared. What do you do? So for me, I have serious problems with our governments in and out, not just this administration, but especially with this administration in terms of dealing with people who are seen to be complicit with video evidence in some things that have been done. So if in the Charles Bissiou case and the PPA boss, Ejenim Boateng Ejay and others, we can deal with it a certain way, yet we can sack Charles Edubuahin. In other words, we can sack Charles Edubuahin. What's the measuring rod? Where's the standard? Do you get it?
Yeah, but Charles's own, I'm told, someone was saying that the vice president, whose name was really being used to, I mean, in the influence peddling thing, has to sue.
You mean Charles Edubuahin?
Exactly.
Right.
Because his was some businessman, I mean, trying to to get some
And
largesse
honestly,
from a businessman using
Right.
the name of the vice president. So someone was saying that the vice president is the one to go to court if we really want to get to the bottom of it.
Well, there are dynamics in there, legally speaking, and that's one thing I've also been waiting to see whether it will happen, whether the vice president, in an attempt to clear his name, will actually take up the matter. If there's nothing to hide, and if this person is indeed peddling influence, you saw the long message on social media and all of that. Will it ever happen?
Well,
only time will tell.
But the paper says that, however, even before the case will commence, the special prosecutor has fired a salvo, raising questions about the propriety of the appointment of Colonel Damoah to the position of Customs Division Commissioner. Mr. Jabin indicted President Akufo-Addo for appointing an unqualified person for the GRA top job. According to the SP, Colonel Damoah, having been dismissed from the army, had lost every right to be appointed Customs Commissioner. Wow. And the quote is, in any case, if the assertions of the applicant to paragraph 8 of the affidavit in support of the application is to be taken seriously, then the first applicant, Colonel Damoah, who was previously dismissed from the Ghana Armed Forces, could not have been appointed to the position of Commissioner of the Customs Division of Ghana Revenue Authority, the special prosecutor said in an affidavit in opposition to the suit. Wow. That's what I'm saying. This case will be interesting.
Dismissed, huh?
Yeah.
Did you say dismissed?
That's what the special prosecutor is saying. That he was dismissed from the Ghana Army, and therefore he didn't even qualify to be appointed to the Commissioner of Customs.
We'd have to find out though, whether he was honorably or dishonorably discharged.
Oh, but if you are dismissed,
if it's a dismissal, then
yeah, dismissal there, yeah. And this is coming from the special prosecutor, who is a lawyer, who knows what he has to say, the right things he has to say. And this is in an affidavit. So I'm sure that, so he won't. So
he shock you?
No, so he will use the right words. I'm saying
no. He shock you?
No, he not shock me. Just that I'm saying that it will be interesting in court.
Okay. Wait, so he was supposedly, per the special prosecutor, dismissed from the
Ghana
army.
Yes.
And yet he was seconded to be...
Exactly. He says, then the first applicant, Colonel Damoah, who was previously dismissed, and the word is dismissed, from the Ghana Armed Forces, could not have been appointed to the position of Commissioner of the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority. That is what the SP is saying.
I am seconding you to go and follow that issue and come here so we can digest.
Thank you. I'll go and listen. I'll come and report to you. Yeah, now, the incumbent General Secretary of the Opposition National Democratic Congress, Ali, today is Friday, isn't it?
It is.
Tomorrow, you have to sit by JoyNews all throughout, because I tell you what.
In fact, the action is starting today, because on the AM show, we'll be doing some,
Charlie?
We'll be carving out, we'll start the ingredients for the food, we'll get the saucepans and everything.
Yes, in the newsroom, someone was saying that this is probably the hottest contest they've ever witnessed in the NDC.
I mean, I've never seen it get this feisty. Look at what happened. Yes, there were dastardly scenes, but the competition.
Yeah.
National Youth Organizer, Women's Organizer. Fortunately, the two incumbents were able to scrape through. But with these ones, with Mosquito and Ofosu-Ampofo, with the General Secretaryship position, Dr. Tukuno, with the obviously free anchors, with the Fifi-Kwetes for different positions, portfolios,
And a lot of things are coming out. And we know that a lot of things happen in the 2020 elections. Now, the incumbent General Secretary, Asedun Ketia, has stated that it is not in his DNA to peddle lies, as he indiscreetly reviews the party's top secret relating to the 2020 general elections and the presidential election petition. According to him, the NDC 2020 presidential candidate, ex-President John Dramani Mahama, had issues with the appointment of party agents and collators of elections. He said Mr. Mahama had wanted a national executive to hold on to the appointment of Director of Elections and Director of IT until he was elected flag bearer because of trust issues. In an audio capturing the revelations during a campaign with some delegate, Mr. Asedun Ketia, who is popularly known as General Mosquito, said Mr. Mahama sent the message to them through his right-hand man, Julius Debra, at a national executive meeting called at the instance of the appointment. Charlie, that's why I say a lot will be happening, in this particular. And yesterday, Yamino also throwing some salvos on the on upfront.
Let me not talk about Joseph Yamin. Let me pause.
Anyway, Ben, let's do other papers.
The Daily Graphic this morning. Chifo Atimokwa, stop Galamsey, create jobs, residents urge duty bearers. We also know Asantehene, Otumfuo said too, has been summoning some chiefs in whose communities mining, or illegal mining, I should say, Galamsey has become a big situation. And there's also scale-up quality of legal education, Chief Justice to Ghana School of Law. Sometimes when I read about legal education in the country, but I'll comment my reserve. I'll reserve my comments.
Abi, you are part of it, or you are not trying to enter?
Oh dear, my main reveal, because sometimes the system can be, yes, we're going down that road. Okay. NDC gets set for Congress tomorrow. So very quickly, let's start from pages 16 and 17 with the legal mining bits. Let's go there first. So it prides itself as one of the food baskets or bread baskets serving the central region. However, like many food producing areas, the residents lack the basic social amenities, a situation that has not spared the constituency from the impact of illegal mining, popularly known as Galamsey. The Galan farmers produce cocoa, oil palm on a commercial basis to support themselves and their families. Indeed, about 72% of households in the constituency engage in agriculture, according to the 2021 Population and Housing Census. However, the high unemployment rate in the constituency has compelled some of the youth to actively engage in the Galamsey menace that has destroyed their once potable river, Pra. Edu, a resident of Kifu Prasel, said it had become difficult to control the activities of illegal miners because many of the youth did not have jobs and depended on illegal mining for survival. So you see the situation.
Yeah.
Bread and butter issues. Yeah. Once you give people what they need, you create the mechanisms for them to be able to earn a living. Then at least some things are resolved. Yeah. But when currently a loaf of bread is worth more than your minimum wage, a loaf of bread.
See, and this is written by my friend Shelley Asieduado. Good morning to her in Cape Coast. Now, when I was going to Jantua Chrome, on the way, the road that you saw us drive on,
right,
both sides have been mined by these guys.
Oh yeah, I've seen some of those roads.
Yeah.
They are death traps.
Yeah. So
if you get to the edges, if you're not careful, your car will just...
So at a point, I was asking the guys who were going with me, are we really headed for a community? They said, oh yes, we are going into a community because look, it gets to a point you feel that we are going into a ditch. And they say, oh no, and then we turn aside and then we go there. Look, that is far from Asankragwa itself. So look at the distance between that place and Accra. There are no jobs there aside farming. And once the monies that the gold will give you is way and above what the farming will give you.
Right.
So these boys are lured to go into Galamsey.
Quick money.
And that's so when I got there, I realized, no, here, there's nothing. But for these boys, Chamfan, which is producing power for them, there would be no light. In a community where you don't have light, there's no company, there's only land for you to farm, and there's Galamsey. What would the boys do? Obviously, they would choose what they would get quick money from.
Did you say that there was no light in the community?
No, there's no light.
They are not connected to the electricity grid?
No, they are not. So the only power they have is this small boy who's using his Chamfine to generate power for them. So he switches the machine on from 6 p.m. and puts it off at 11 p.m. when everybody is asleep. So in such a community, so look, for us to tackle Galamsey, we have to go out of the box and look at how we can really tackle it than the knee-jerk things we do here. Because when I got there, look, this community, this is the camera light that you see behind me there. It is a community that there's no life. After 6 p.m., there's darkness, but for this boy's ingenuity. So really, for us to tackle Galamsey, look, we really need to go down there and understand them from their perspective.
After these decades, what more do we need to understand?
But what have we done to understand them? Because yes, we can send, can you always put military on them in all of those communities? No, you can't. So you send them there. When they leave, the guys go back to site because there's nothing for them but to farm. Have we really painted farming to them as a credible alternative for
In fact, now, many of the youth, when you tell them of farming, they see it as a poor man's business. They see it, especially because, yes, we've not painted that picture, that farming, this is what you can accrue from farming. Young people are in it and are doing very well.
There's a project JoyNews is working on, which, of course, we'll be launching probably next year, where we are going to bring you the people you see on screens who are into farming and they are into big-time farming. John Dumelo, Senor Hossi, and all of them who are doing farming is a business for them.
Right.
How we can get the youth to appreciate it from that angle.
Right.
That's last time I was telling them that, look, we have to go down there and let them understand that farming is probably an alternative. They won't get money immediately as they get in gold, but when they go into that
progressively, you'll get far more.
Yes, but do it over time and grow. They will get it.
We should also then add to the bid. Yes, the agric minister has tried in some respects, though I feel that was a bit of a flip-flop because you don't expect the banks to. The banks also are risk averse in certain ways. You know, there was a point where they were calling for the banks to give more money to farmers. In fact, just a small percentage of the loans they give out go to farmers because they're also risk averse. They want to please their shareholders. They want to turn a profit at the end of the year. And the other problem, when you, the central government, you are borrowing so much from the banks, your domestic debt from the banks, and the banks feel, well, this is safe money. It's basically easy money. They would want to give that money to you rather than to private business, rather than to the farmers. So in effect, government with one side of its mouth is saying one thing, but on the other, it is doing the exact opposite that is affecting the farmers
That is true. That is true. I agree with you. So look, the Galamsey menace, if we really want to deal with it, we have to be creative. And agric is possibly our only weapon. But we have not been able to market it so well to the people. And that's why we are where we are.
Kojo, we have some 4 minutes. Let's just do a few quick stories. The Chief Justice, Kwesi Aniniaboa, has called for a paradigm shift in legal education with an emphasis on quality to keep pace with international best practices. According to him, quality legal education was a critical component of effective justice delivery as lawyers had to be relevant and responsive to the country's development needs. I agree with you, Mr. Chief Justice, but still, open up legal education more. Some of the things you've been saying, you know, this is like an ivory tower sort of situation. Kenya did it. Rwanda has done it. We can still get the quality and open up. Yes, we can. We can do that, Mr. Chief Justice. So let's look at those approaches. Let me look at so page 5, 166 South Sudanese civilians killed since August, 20,000 displaced. That's on the international front. And Ramaphosa fights for political future over scandal. And this one is brewing. This morning, coming here, I was listening to the BBC. Charlie, African leaders, sometimes I just wonder. And on the back page, Qatar 2022 greatest ever World Cup. That's according to Gianni Infantino, FIFA president. Do you agree?
It's been extraordinary.
It's been fantastic.
Yeah.
Is it the best, though?
We have to give it to them. You might want to, because, you know, every event built on the other.
Right.
South Africa was massive. Brazil took it a step further. Russia took it, went further. So you have to give it to them. And the investment they did was massive.
No. I think the next highest is is it 6 or 9 billion or something? Charlie, they spent over 200 billion.
Yes. And look at one of the stadiums has already been
dismantled,
ready to be shipped to any country that needs the services. The guys are
thinking.
They are thinking. We have a Sipon stadium that we built in 2008, and it's collapsing. Look, I went there. There's a feature that will be coming up soon here on this network.
All right.
And when you see it, you'll cry.
Let's do the rest of the stories very quickly.
Well, Chronicle, leaked audio over 2020 presidential election. Apologize to the judiciary now, NPP tells Mahama. And I love this picture from Asiru Nkecha. Mosquito dashes to parliament, but NDC MPs are divided over his candidacy. And look at what he's done. He's going to cut someone's head off. Francisca grilled over 3 million citizen sanitizer deal. But good news here, we have to share it with our people. The currency rate, look. According to the Bank of Ghana Forex rate,
the central bank's rate.
Yes. But it's corresponding, really. Look, US dollar is buying at 7.9, so like 8 cedis, and selling at 8.0055. And that is what is happening. I was in the newsroom when one of our colleagues went to change 2 days ago. She got it at 8 cedis. So it's good.
Where was this? I'm curious.
Oh,
okay. Just around here.
The Alhaji.
Oh, huh?
The Alhaji's place.
Oh, okay.
She got it for 8 cedis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know. So the dollar is...
You've just given me a hint. I have to...
I mean, if you have that, you have to change it fast.
I mean,
because, Charlie, the dollar is becoming beans, but we are grateful. I hope it continues anyway. Let's keep with those stories.
All right. So the Finder newspaper, I see you're doing KTS audio. Mahama NDC owe Ghanaians judiciary apology. That's according to the MPP. Richard Ahiangba has been touting that. In a way, I agree with him, but I could also put a number of things to him about the MPP that they have to apologize to Ghanaians for.
Well, but when it comes to that petition, you know how it was, Ben.
Oh, I know. I mean, I gave it to them yesterday about why they would put us through all of that.
For us to hear that you went to court and took us through that process when you didn't have
agonizing. Right. All births and deaths registry staff transferred to local government service to decentralized process. Vehicle users not changing worn out tires due to high cost. And you know what danger that poses. The tire, no, but he or she will not change it because the kwacha, the kudi, no day. Police arrest 153 drunk drivers in 6 out of the 17 police regions. And this is definitely a step in the right direction, especially as Christmas approaches.
The Ghanaian publisher, just reading the headlines, Clash of the Titans, who wins for NDC survival, Ampafo or Mosquito. Apologize for your frivolous petition, MPP tells Mahama. Shraj will exonerate me, Deputy Gender Minister designate. Ghana worried about Russian mercenaries on Burkina border. The statement the president went to give today. Everybody says
it is what it is. I mean, but the Deputy Gender Minister designate and her issue and sanitizers and interest and all of that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we somehow
would exonerate her.
We need a system where, look, if you're in leadership or you're tied to certain entities, it should be clearer, our conflict of interest rules and procedures, so that you know definitely that. No, why I'm saying that is I still feel it is a bit murky, so people still feel this and yet
I'm
that.
sure the rules are clear. You have to declare your stance that, on this particular contract we're going to talk about, I have an interest in it, so I'm going to excuse myself. Well, whether we
do we see that? Anyway. Kojo, let me share with you the title of my blunt thoughts this morning. Back to the IMF, but with the same weak fundamentals. Why it won't work. Back to the IMF, but with the same weak fundamentals. Why it won't work.
Wow.
I'll explain to you when I get to my blunt thoughts. A very happy birthday to Dennis Craig, my foster father in Tennessee in the United States. Today's your birthday. God richly bless you. Hey, I say we did 70. And then my brother, my friend Alex Boateng, you're a wonderful person, very gifted. Happy birthday to you as well. Do you have any birthdays?
Yeah, no birthdays, but two of my friends are here and they say they are watching us. We call one Jeff Cantona. He plays football like Ronaldinho, and then Henry. Charlie, come on, dear. Miss my one name, them the Kenya. I was there in my one be. I'm not the Bella Hobo ever my na. I will bab ye ne Hobo ever my na. Cobo my said they ask into crown bo. Number the Bella Hobo na. And my mom from Miss Mabiela. The Bella Hobo ever my ne.
And that is. The rap version, the hip life version of the AM News Review.
Yeah, that's
Maza.
what it is. Yeah.
Maza.
One day we have to do.
You can't come here and say things we don't understand.
Oh no, why? But there are people in Ahanta and people in Accra who are hunters who are watching, so they understand. Don't worry. Justice Bedu really understands this. What I said perfectly. Akable even understands. So don't worry.
On that note, let's get into sports. But before we do, we know water is life. It regulates your body temperature and keeps you alive and kicking. Awake is premium purified water treated through a strict purification process to ensure that every bottle on the market refreshes you better. We have the perfect sizes for all occasions: 330, 500 ml bottles to fit your pockets and bags, 750 ml for the heavy drinkers, and 1.5 liters for those who always want more. We have also introduced our special 19-litre jars for offices and homes. Now you just need to stay awake with Awake Purified Drinking Water wherever you go. So come on, grab a bottle of Awake Water and get quality hydration. Awake Purified Drinking Water, one for life. Remember, for every bottle you purchase, an amount is donated to the National Cardiothoracic Center. It's produced by Casapreco. For bulk purchases, just call 0262 351 251. This advert is FDA approved. Sports up next.
Good morning and thank you very much for joining us for Sports on the AM show. My name is Abigail Senasusuban. We are the penultimate stage of the FIFA World Cup in Doha, Qatar. A very lavish and beautiful one we have had in terms of stadium, in terms of environment, in terms of euphoria. For some of us, we believe that we've had one of the best in a very long time, in a rather revered Arab region, an unusual venue at an unusual time of the year. But we'll get to talk at length as we build up to the third and fourth place games and the final on Sunday as well. And so today we get to review the tournament in general and get to see the high and low moment for people or individuals who play various roles in the game and in the competition as well. We'll get to hear from some learned colleagues and senior ones at that. But before that, we'll hear from George Boateng, who was one of our assistant coaches at the World Cup and says that Ghana comparatively performed well. Let's hear from George before our colleagues also join us by Zoom.
When we look back, I think we can all say that we had a very good preparation and good organization. We planned well. As coaching staff and as team, I think when we look back, there's no way we could say that we missed out on something. I think going to Abu Dhabi as part of the planning and preparation for the World Cup was excellent. Getting the players to get used to the weather, the different culture and the heat, as well as getting to know the style of play. A lot of the players hadn't played in a World Cup game before, so the preparation against Switzerland was a very good preparation. Also, the victory and the way we played against Switzerland, I thought it gave the team, the players also a moral boost in terms of confidence-wise. So when we look back, I think we had a very good planning and organization. I thought if you look at it, we performed well as a team, well enough in every game. If you look at the game against Portugal, I thought the team was very compact, very solid. Everybody gave its all, and we all know that if the penalty wasn't given, then perhaps things could have been different. But you have to accept that. That's football. You have to move on from that, and we did so. I thought the game against South Korea was outstanding. The players showed so much character in that game, leading 2-0 and then conceding 2 goals to then find the courage to come back and still win the game. Gave us such a good confidence boost. And it showed also us as staff that we have players who have the right discipline and the right character. And if we look at it overall, we were the lowest ranked team coming to the World Cup, but we did better than Denmark, did better than Serbia, than Iran, than Costa Rica, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar, the host. So if you look at it as a team, we have really performed well enough for a team that came to the tournament as the lowest ranked. And obviously, if you look at the last game against Uruguay, we all know that things could have been a lot better for us had only luck gone our way. I think the news I'm getting and the feeling I'm getting, the feedback I'm getting, or we are getting as a team, is that overall everybody back home and the fans that came here, they feel that the team really gave their all. In every game, we never died. In the game against Portugal, we kept going, and we ended up losing 3-2. In the game against South Korea, we kept going, And even though people were very disappointed, and including us, and the players were disappointed in the game against Uruguay, if you look at the way we finished the game, we finished it really strong. So I believe that the public and everyone, every fan that came out here and those back home, I do believe that they feel that they have a satisfying feeling of the tournament, and that they have also seen that we have some good, outstanding, young, talented players that needs to be molded, and hopefully in the future we have a very good team that can play to try and win trophies at international level. Yeah, well, it's one of those. The what ifs, and hindsight is a beautiful thing. I've seen top players miss penalties. I've seen players missing penalties at World Cups, at Champions League finals, at UEFA Cup finals, club level. So it can happen. I think for us as a team, where we find it difficult to deal with is the fact that what happened after the penalty. The penalty miss, of course, it's disappointing, but that's not the end of it. It was 0-0, and we should still manage to see out the game. And that's where I think the general feeling is that we should have and could have done better overall. The what ifs, there's no point to look at it that way. I would rather like to look at it in a positive way, that we finished the game in a very strong manner, and the general public and everybody could see that Ghana have some outstanding players. Players that could take the national team forward in the next 4 or 5 years, starting with the African nations qualifying and then the tournament itself in 2024.
Holistic analysis, if you ask me, there from the assistant coach of the Black Stars of Ghana, George Boateng. But joining me via Zoom is FIFA High Performance Specialist, Faisal Chipsa. Faisal, it's good to see you again. I'm well. Good morning, if you can hear me.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm good, yourself?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Yeah, I would love us to start from where George Boateng ended, but let's look at the host nation, Qatar. I don't think that in the last decade or so, when you're talking about football nation, you would even want to think about Qatar being able to host the world to such a spectacle, but they went in for it, and over a decade, a dream has been lived. They are living the best times of their life to have hosted the whole world. And every portal, wherever you go, the minute you type World Cup, the first thing that comes is Qatar. For a nation like Qatar, what did the World Cup mean to them?
No, I think it's exceptional. Most people would have looked at their performance on the field and judged them on it. But for the Qataris, that wasn't the goal for them. The goal for them was really grow the game of football in Qatar and introduce the game to the future generation. So if you ask me if they've met the expectation and reached their goals, for me, it's 100%. It's a win for them. We'll look at it now and we say, okay, maybe they didn't perform well, but for the Qataris, it was different. And if we should go, in the future, 10 years from now, I think football is going to look different in Qatar. You're going to have more boys and girls interested in the game now. This definitely is going to grow the game of football in the country. And that for them is a win, not just in Qatar, but for me in the Gulf area as well. For a small country of, 2 million people, to stage the biggest event in football in the Gulf area, it speaks a lot about where the game is going. And for FIFA as well, we want to make this game very global. And how else would you make the game global if you're not taking it to the rest of the world? So from FIFA and the Qataris, I think this is a wonderful event. And the success story here for me is definitely going to grow the game of football in Qatar.
For them, it was an opportunity to inculcate a lot of things into their way of life, to expand their road systems, to get all these beautiful edifices, hotels, and all of that. But for we in the business of football, I'm sure before the tournament started, you might have had some perception of how they were going to do it. How would you rate the tournament that they have been able to put together?
Now, if you were following Qatar since they got the bid, you would clearly understand everything was completed 2 years ahead of time. So we knew the stadia were ready, we knew the infrastructure, the new metro system, training pitches, everything was ready 2 years ahead of time, yeah. So all left for me was just people getting out of that notion and perception about the Arab world and everything else that was going on there. It's true, there are some issues that needed to be addressed, and I think they have addressed some of them. But look, the reality is everybody faces this. We can't just be naive and be hypocrites here and act as if Qatar is the only country facing these issues. We have our own, and the rest of the world has got their own as well to deal with. But for me, like I said, the positive side is always what to look at. And of course, we would pay attention to some of the areas that are present that needs to be addressed. And Qatar have accepted their areas of weaknesses, and I think they will address them moving forward. But all said, I think this was a wonderful event that they brought to the Gulf area. And clearly, we're going to see changes, not just in the sporting world, but I think in the geopolitical space as well. It's a win-win situation for all.
Your speciality is something that comes to you easily because of what you do. But this is a tournament that assembled 32 nations from all over the world. And I would want to ask you, first of all, are you impressed with the quality of play, quality in management, quality in the individuals that came out to play up until this time that we are looking forward to how the last four will pan out?
I would say so, yeah. And again, looking at where I sit now and who I work for, goal 6 of FIFA's vision was to increase global competitiveness. Before this World Cup, if you look at the previous ones, I would say UEFA nations and CONMEBOL have been the most countries that have dominated in the World Cup. But we saw that different in Qatar this time. We saw Morocco for the first time reaching the Final Four. We saw Saudi Arabia, the only team that's beaten Argentina so far. So in that space, I would say we've breached the gap a bit in terms of competitiveness. And that, for me, is what the game is about, and that's what FIFA is looking to preach as well, to increase global competitiveness and make this game truly, truly global. In terms of the players, of course, this is new. Having to stage a World Cup in the middle of the season, it's, I wouldn't say it's never happened. It's happened before because, again, in the previous World Cups, if you live in Scandinavia and North America, that was the middle of the season for those places. So they had to go on break for the World Cup to be held in Europe during the summer. So either way, when you host it in the summer, some teams would have to break in the middle of the season. And when you host it in the winter in the Gulf area, most of the European teams would have to go on break to accommodate this World Cup. But again, people don't read facts and people don't know this. And we've always believed that World Cup should be held in the summer because that's when most of the European leagues are on break. But that doesn't mean the rest of the world are on break, But going into this, we were kind of curious to see what form players would be in the middle of the season. Also taking into consideration the preparation time for the coaches compared to previous World Cups where they would have maybe 3-4 weeks to prepare. This time was only 1 week, So for coaches, it was a bit of a difficult task to do. But that being said, I think from the first games or the first round of games until now, everybody is growing in confidence and the quality has improved a lot. So that speaks about, the quality of coaches that we had and also the quality of players that are displayed in Qatar now. So overall, I think, again, it's a big win for football. And I've been very impressed with the quality of football that has been displayed this World Cup.
What would you say would be your biggest moment from this tournament that you think will live with you at least to the next one?
Morocco, for me, it's the biggest one. It's the biggest one. And they did it in style, If you look at the teams they had to beat, Spain, Croatia, Portugal, these are world-class teams. These are top 20 teams in the FIFA ranking there. I think it would have been a different story if they were playing against a lesser opponent or lesser ranked teams. People might have said, you know what, it's because it was less teams, but this time was different. They had to compete against the best in the world and beat the best in the world to get to where they are now. So I don't think you can overlook that at all. And they didn't start. Unfortunately, the best game I saw Morocco playing was the last one against France. Offensively, I thought they were very brave and they were calm and took the game to France. Unfortunately, they didn't get the results, but the performance for me was excellent. And if you tie it all together, I think this is the story that a lot of people, not just Africans, can drive some motivation from here and say, look, we can go to the World Cup and compete with the best of the best if we are prepared and we've had a team that's ready to do that. So for me, Morocco is the best story from Qatar 2022.
Let's come back to Team Ghana. There's been a lot of analysis post Ghana's exit. We collectively agree that we have some individual talents that will do a lot of exploits for us in future, barring injuries, and if they are going to continue to enjoy playing time and all. For you, in your capacity, Team Ghana, how did we perform?
Team Ghana, wow. You said it right there. There was a lot of individual brilliance on the team, quality on the team, but we also do know for sure that at this stage, it's about the collective. It's not about the individual. There are moments where you would rely on some individual players to win you the game, but at the end, it always comes down to the team that's really prepared collectively to compete in this tournament. And I think we fell short there. If you ask me, I was listening to the interview with George there, and him saying he thought they did well because, again, they competed or they were better than Qatar or Denmark. In a way, I disagree with that. I think you can only measure yourself against the goals that you set for yourself. And for us, if our goal was to be better than Qatar and Denmark, then I'd say maybe we did good. But I don't think that was the goal for Ghanaians. I don't think that was the goal for our football. The goal was to get to at least the semis. And since we weren't able to reach even the round of 16 or the quarters, for me, that's a failure. You can be happy and say you did better than Qatar or Denmark, but I disagree with that, in my opinion. But looking forward, what we do know is we do have the players. We do have. We were ranked one of the youngest teams in the competition. So that means the future looks good. We also do know for sure we can compete against the best. But for us to be able to beat the best, we really have to prepare. We really have to set a team that believes in each other, that works collectively. And if not, then I think we will be speaking about this again in the next year. Hopefully that's not the case, but the positive for me is that we do have the squad and the players that are ready. We just have to create an environment, what I call the high performance environment, and prepare ourselves very well and make sure that we are ready not only to compete but to beat the rest. The best in the world, to be able to get to the top.
Okay. Can you hold your horses for me, face out? We have been joined by Federico, who is an Argentine journalist still in Qatar. At least we'll get to hear from him as his country is on the road to annexing that trophy. Federico, if you can hear us, good morning from Ghana.
Do you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yet to see you.
Maybe now. Now you hear? Are you showing me?
Yeah, I can see you. I can see you. It's good. It's good to see you.
Thank you. Sorry for that. This is the 10 a.m. here in Doha.
Yeah.
And now remember this Friday is Jumu'ah. Most of the people from Muslims is going to the Mezquita. It's really quiet, the city.
Okay.
But we are hoping. There's only 2 days from the final of the World Cup. We are very hopeful for that.
Okay. For you, I'm sure as an individual, you would be one of the happiest people in Doha, given that Argentina is part of the last four. But let's look at the tournament in total. I'm sure you've covered some tournaments before this one. How would you rate the tournament that the Qataris are giving us this year?
In this World Cup, I guess we got many surprises, like Morocco, like Japan, Croatia again. So I guess this more physically. In this World Cup, the team who has not the best performance in the physics would be given some kind of advantage. For example, we hope more than Germany, we hope more than Spain, we hope really more than the other teams. But in Belgium, for example, Uruguay, who plays against Ghana. So I guess in this World Cup, the team who got the best physical performances could be attacked, and the people and the team who got more talent. For example, Argentina lost against Arabia Saudita. So the team who got very strong mentally could be a very good match to the big potencies and the favorites. Argentina learned that, lost in the first match against Saudi Arabia, and now it's different because they humble. The Argentina learned that with the name, with Messi, it's not enough to win. They need to be straight, we need to be mentally stronger, they need to be good in the physically, and this World Cup teaches us this.
For you, I know that we can't talk about this World Cup without mentioning Argentina, but let's put that aside. What are some moments that you would go back to Argentina with, even if Argentina should win the Cup? I'm sure it will be one of those moments. But apart from that, what exactly caught your attention in Doha, Qatar?
I think we are in this day world. In Qatar, we get maybe 2 games and a day. So we'll be going to a stadium, going to Khalifa Stadium, and then we go to Education City. It's very important for us because we could be maybe 2. I got friends who get to 3 games on a day. I get a lot of good memories from the people here. We are really, really kind with us. We say maybe Arabic people, we need to be respectful, we need to be respect. They are very strong and close, and not. We saw the people here cheer for Argentina, cheer for the people, take pictures from Argentina people and take videos from Argentina crowd, because we are so loud, if you know. In Argentina, people are very, in the tribune or in the stadium, we are very loud. So I got this. We hope, we expect it like a very close society, and the difference, we saw people who open your heart, open the heart, open his house, invite us dinner, invite us to drink something, and it was the very brotherhood in Qatar. I'm not sure it could be the best World Cup, but I thought a really good organization, good people. FIFA put their eye here, and we thought, why Qatar? Qatar never qualified to a World Cup. Yeah. Qatar is prepared to organize a World Cup, and now here in Doha, we are sure that Qatar give us a really, really nice World Cup, and from Argentina, we're waiting for the best prize. So, on Sunday, you will be maybe the big prize from Argentina.
Coming to that one on Sunday, how would you rate the France team, and what would you say will be the advantage that Lionel Messi and his Argentine mates would have over them on Sunday?
On Sunday, I guess Argentina got in front of, he has to face, in my opinion, the best team. France is stronger than Argentina in names. Griezmann, Tchouaméni, Varane, Mbappé, Dembélé. But Argentina got more than a team who play better when they are together. For example, step by step, Argentina lost against Arabia and starting to racing, growing up against Poland, Mexico, Australia. The struggle against País Basque and Croatia was the best match from Argentina. I guess it's starting, it's racing up step by step, so it's going to make Argentina stronger. But now it's the best team in front of you, it's France. So I guess if Argentina maybe could mark, don't give spaces to the French attack, could be a very nice match, because France, it's a team that don't need the ball all time to attack you. they give you space, they get back, and then attack and attack with his speedman like Dembele and Mbappe, and they really hurt the other teams. For example, Giroud maybe is not doing nothing, and then suddenly start with the head and goal. Mbappe could be quiet, but when starting to play, it's a killer.
Okay, so Federico, we can only wish you the very best on Sunday. We're hoping that Argentina and France will give us a good game, and then possibly for your sake, maybe Argentina can lift that one. But that history the Moroccans have been able to write up until this time, you think maybe before the final they can nick it over Croatia and maybe finish with the third place?
Yeah, we are living like a dream because Argentina now, for example, in the start of this World Cup, it was like a nightmare, like in Russia 2019, and when the match when Argentina finished the match against Kharbaski, we say, what's happened that we don't have any complication against Australia in the last minute. Our goalkeeper Martinez stopped the last. Against País Basque, 10 minutes from additional, and País Basque get tired, and penalties. We maybe got a heart attack. And we spotted that against Kharbaski and Croatia, we got the same. In what moment Croatia wake up, in what moment Croatia could attack us, and it's not happened. Because Argentina got serenity and make 3 goals.
Yeah.
So we don't want to put that we are racing up and it's finished. But now we're going to face France with some confidence that we didn't get it in the starting of the World Cup. So we need to be quiet. We need to be humble. This is most important. I don't know if I'm answering your question, but in Argentina we are prepared for that. But really, this World Cup give us so many kind of emotion in the game, in the stadium, and in the people in the street, because all the people in the street say, come on Argentina, Messi, we support you Argentina, like difficult kind of English, not I support you Argentina, like a difficult English, but we all know for the football there is no language. When you get patient, and Argentina could cross this frontier.
Thank you very much, Federico. I'm sure maybe we'll get to talk after Sunday to see how it went for you and wrap up everything in Doha, Qatar. It's good to hear from you, and do keep safe.
Okay, thank you. Come on, Black Stars. I work in World Cup Under-20 in Argentina in 2001. Okay. I remember this very beautiful place and very beautiful person like Fansil, Papu, Kingston, Michael Essien, Montari, Derek Boateng, and Razak Pimpon. So I got the Black Hearts because it was my first job in journalist. Okay. So I got the Black Hearts in heart.
Thank you very much, Federico. Do take care.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye. Back at home, we are joined by Samuel Nkum, who has been a part of the senior national team up until this time and currently with Accra Heart to Folk. Nkum, it's good to hear from you this morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us, Sammy. We are wrapping up the tournament in Doha. We are the penultimate. Hopefully Saturday, Sunday, we get to see who will be first, second, and third. But for you as a former player, briefly, would you tell us what you make of Team Ghana and going forward, and the highest moments of this tournament you think you would always live with?
I think, in my opinion, this World Cup is one of the best, in my opinion. You know, in terms of organization, the stadium attendance, you know, everything is on point. You understand? Even the pitch itself, I'm so impressed. Qatar have done well. Qatar and FIFA have done an amazing job. What I want to say moving forward about our Blasters, that we went and saw whatever happened there. High time we have to put everything, everything aside and just focus on what we can bring on the table, also what Ghanaians can also bring back to now the love was coming, and all of a sudden, now everybody is talking the way because they were expecting us to, go more, you know. But this is football. Football sometimes like that. It happens when you are out of the tournament, and for you to come to also let Ghanaians that who were supporting you from the beginning to know that, okay, this is what happened, we are not going to do this again, But I'm believing that if we want to move forward, you know, because every time when we go and something does not go well, we come, we learn our lesson, and say the thing is happening again. The most important thing is that it's high time we have to take serious about what we have to do. I keep on saying, in football, it's all about preparation, you know. So this is what I would say, that we have to prepare very well. We don't have to wait that when we are going to tournament, then you call players to play friendly games and this kind of stuff. We have to continue doing it so that we can also take big impact in the World Cup.
Let's look at that game on Saturday. Morocco has done Africa so well to come to this, to be in a part of the last four. But do you think they can run away with the bronze ahead of Croatia?
Why not? I respect this Moroccan team. You know, one thing they are doing, and I love how how they play, because you can see there's a seriousness. There's a team spirit, there's a, there's a discipline as well. And also, I love this coach to the extent that how he psyched the players, you know. He let them know that, listen, we are here to win the trophy. We are here to make history, you know. This is something that is good for the mindset, you know. So you can see whenever they are playing, you can see they want something, you know. And I wish, even now they have done something that no African country have done. You know, so this is a history, big history for them. But I know they will go for the third place, to be honest, because I see the mentality of the players, the mentality of even the country itself. Now they can see that, oh, okay, let's go and support them. When we support them, they can do something. So I will not be surprised if they will grab this tomorrow. I mean, the third place.
And then on Sunday, I don't know if you are going to be in the camp of Lionel Messi and his Argentina, or you'll be with Mbappe and this very interesting France team. Who do you think can take the ultimate?
I think this game will be one of the best games in history of football, because, you know, Argentina, everybody knows that the player they have that we cannot even use the word to describe it, which is Messi, and he also wants to prove a big point. He wants to take the cup because he has been everywhere. He has won a lot of trophies, Ballon d'Or. But I think this is something that I can see that he has targeted, you know. And we all know that even the last game he played like 17 years old. You can see he took the responsibility. He was a leader on the pitch, and that is good. But, you know, French have a job that they can run too much. They have so many options from the bench, you know. And Mbappe, he wants to also make history as well. He's young, if I'm not wrong. I think he's 20, 23, 24, or 22, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
He wants to prove a point. He wants to take Gokin. He wants to also let the whole world know that he's Mbappe. So I think he's going to be one of the best games in the tournament. I think they deserve to be in the final, both countries.
And who is going to win?
I think I'll go for Messi. Mbappe have more years.
Okay.
More. So I'll go for Messi, to be honest. I know everybody in the world, to be honest, they are praying that Messi will take it, you know. And Messi is so humble, you know. So people love him. So I'll go for it.
Okay, thank you very much for joining us, Sammy, on that Argentine note. Now we know that, just like Federico, Samuel Nkum also wishes that Argentina lifts that trophy. But Faisal, if you are still with us, can we wrap up on the finals on Sunday?
I think it's, you know, the whole world wants Messi to win a World Cup. And I want to see good stories and I want to see good things happen to good people.
Yeah.
So I think the whole world at this point is pleading to the French to allow Messi win it. We are not asking them to play a fixed match, but we are just saying let Messi win this one so we can have a complete story about his life and what he's done for football. But I'll be happy if Messi wins this for Argentina because I think he deserves it.
I don't think we the lovers of Mbappe will be happy with you because he was in the final.
Mbappe is young. Mbappe will come back next 4 years. Okay. You've got more years to play. But let us win this one.
Okay, so we're going to see how that pans out on Sunday. But you have established that your biggest moment will be how the Moroccans have played and been a part of the last four. Do you think they deserve that brunt ahead of Croatia?
A kind of similar story to the Messi one again. As an African, and I'll be happy if they win this. But also to say, look, when you do things properly, when you put the right people in the right positions and allow them to do their job and prepare and give yourself long time, you'll reach success, you know. And I think Morocco has done it in the past 15, 20 years. So I'll be happy to just see them win this one, just to say to the rest of the world that you can only get to this stage when you prepare. So for me, I think I'll be happy if they win it. And I think they have the tools and the quality to win it as well. So I'm hoping for a Moroccan third place finish.
I thought you were going to say that at least for the sake of Luka Modric, you could also have his last World Cup. Croatia could.
That's good reasoning. Good logic there, Abigail. That's good. But Luka Modric just won the second place. So yeah. I think that's good for him. But what a player. What a wonderful player. You know, I can watch him for the rest of my life, you know, but unfortunately all good things come to an end. But I think we've been fortunate to watch one of the best midfielders in the world, you know, showcase his talent and how it should be done effortlessly, you know. And for me, I've been a huge follower of Modric. I've studied him for a long time, and I'm happy that even at that stage, you can still perform like he's still a teenager. Wonderful story for him, but hopefully he stays around the game and able to pass on all that knowledge to the next generation in some capacity. But I think we've all enjoyed watching Modric play in the game of football here.
Thank you very much for your time, Faisal. We are grateful for all the knowledge that you've shared with us in the game. Hopefully, your wish for Messi has come through. And maybe for me, Croatia also wishes to come through.
Don't do that. Don't do that, Abigail. Come on.
Okay, I'm sure we'll talk again very soon.
All right, speak soon. Bye-bye.
Okay. So it's good to have wrapped up with all of this insightful analysis and all. It looks like a lot of people are rooting for Messi to lift that one on Sunday, but the Luso Stadium will decide when Mbappe and his France team also come out to play. That'll be all for sports this morning. Thank you very much for joining me. My name is Abigail Senasusu.
Welcome back on the AM show, and welcome as I serve you my blunt thoughts for today, titled Back to the IMF, but with the same weak fundamentals, why it won't work. Good morning, Ghana 4. I know you are not so well, considering where our economy is right now, in a quagmire, in a deep swamp of despair. Oh, no. I'm not a doomsday prophet. But anyone with eyes to see will be able to tell you that even if the IMF approves our program and gives us the $3 billion we seek, it will only be the first step in a sequence of thousands of steps that must be taken to steer the ship of the economy into some sort of better place and build a solid foundation on which our economy can truly take off. I want to take you to South Korea this morning as we contemplate the example of Samsung Electronics, one of South Korea's largest chaebols, that is to say, a large family-controlled Korean business conglomerate. Samsung, in 1970, was making cheap TV sets for Sanyo. After a while, that entity started producing plasma and flat screen displays and other devices. By the middle of the 1990s, several shocks in the market which led to market turmoil for Samsung on the back of increased competition, cheaper products, and from China, excess capacity. What did Samsung do? It rode on the back of the same Asian financial crisis of 1997, a crisis and made a strategic shift. Samsung started producing technically superior products and invested heavily in research and development. In fact, by its 2009 fiscal year, Samsung's R&D spending had shot up to a staggering 7.6 trillion won, over $7 billion at the time. By 2014, that had doubled again to 13.4 billion, making Samsung the top-ranked R&D spender in IT globally and ranked second across all industries worldwide. The result? In 2014, Samsung was ranked number 7 by Forbes in terms of the world's most valuable brands, with a market cap valued at $199 billion in May 2015. The same company that struggled in the 1970s was now chilling and bambaying with the big boys in industry. I share this with you, Ghana4, because anyone will tell you that every country is like a company, just on a much bigger scale. The same principles apply, and if you get that right, like Samsung did, you would have hit the economic bullseye. There's a whole lot Ghana can learn from the change in fortunes and progress of Samsung in terms of comparative advantage and R&D. What, I ask, are R&D, research and development drives as a country? How are we capitalizing on our resources and strengths in a world where finding your niche could well be your breakthrough? I'll tell you. We research nothing, develop nothing, and produce nothing. That's why we are poor. This also explains why even when we produce something, we allow others from outside to benefit more from it. Have you ever wondered why we produce the finest cocoa in Ghana in the world, yet far away Switzerland is considered the chocolate capital of the world? Have you ever thought of it? The Swiss have the enviable reputation of producing the finest quality chocolates, whether milk chocolate or dark chocolate. The point is, they got that right. Is that something we cannot do? Can we not produce enough to satisfy not just our cocoa consuming market, but those along the West African coast and even beyond to the rest of our continent? How hard is that? Can you just pause and imagine what sort of revenue that would rake in for Ghana? But no, we sit on our asses and go to the IMF and beg for what we can more than do for ourselves. So yes, the Swiss chocolates will still fill the shelves of confectionery stores from Algiers to Nouakchott and Accra to Yamoussoukro. We are clearly failing to think and exploit the advantage we have. How many of us today can even randomly decide to consume a bar of chocolate without counting the cost? Look at how chocolate is expensive here. How many Ghanaians can do that? Yet Switzerland does not produce any cocoa. It's our paucity of thinking and our chronic election of leaders who can only talk big and do precious little. If all the big talk of 1D1F and planting for food and jobs and rearing for food and jobs and all those other fanciful titles given to projects had yielded much, trust me, even with COVID-19 and the Russo-Ukrainian war, all coupled with our reckless borrowing, even these would not have been enough to sink us so low if we had got them right. Like I said though, we seem to prefer leaders who do talk rather than ones who would do the work. We have been marking time since the days after Nkrumah. When are we ever going to wake up and smell the coffee? When will we put our thinking caps on and our working garb on? When? We cannot pay our special prosecutor and some of his staff for 16 months. Yet our president flies in luxury, happily globe-trotting across the world on our account. One of the very people meant to fight corruption isn't even getting paid, and some noise must be made before finally a determination is made. What a shameful country. That says a whole lot about how much of a priority the fight against corruption is for this administration, doesn't it? It does. In fact, Bloomberg, in a recent article dated December the 8th, mocked Ghana when it wrote in a story, quote, "A few blocks from Ghana's State House in Accra sits a 14.5-acre parcel of prime real estate with a football field-sized hole in the middle of it. What should be emerging from the ground is the frame and sweeping concave roof of the futuristic 5,000-seat National Cathedral of Ghana. Instead, the project has stalled, a victim of an economic crisis in the West African country, which was until recently one of the world's fastest growing economies and a magnet for foreign investment. The cathedral's original price tag of $100 million has quadrupled amid an economic crisis that has seen record inflation, and the cedi, the world's worst performing currency this year, lose close to 60% of its value, almost double that of Ukraine. But what really got me upset from this article was this, quote again, "The cathedral is the perfect example of the spending spree Ghana is behaving like a fabulously rich sultanate in the Gulf rather than a developing country just attaining frontier market status." In other words, Ghana 4, as a state, this implies our leaders do not know how to cut the coat of our collective prosperous aspirations according to the cloth of our available resources. This, fellow Ghanaians, is how Bloomberg jabbed this administration, and all of us for that matter. What an epic disgrace. Veranda mpo nibi, and so what's a chenchinia obanya adre. Oyiwa. Look, some things simply do not make sense to me about how we choose to run our country. Why? When you consider the most populous nations in Africa, you would realize Nigeria leads with over 206 million people. Ethiopia follows with 115 million. Next is Egypt with over 102 million. Then DR Congo with over 89 million. Tanzania and South Africa share fifth spot with over 59 million. Why am I highlighting this? Well, it will shock you to learn that Ghana, with a population of a little in excess of 31 million people, is the biggest importer of chicken in the whole of Africa, with 227,903 tons imported in 2021 alone. Did that sink in? Are you stunned yet? But wait, there's more. It gets even worse. According to EU data, Ghana is not just the largest importer of chicken on the continent. It has been so for the past 5 years. This means that since 2017, we, some 30 million people, have imported more chicken than even the countries with the largest populations on our continent. Worse still is the fact that such wholesale, unbridled, unfettered, and unthinking importation has led 80% of our poultry farms to fold up, with the remaining ones struggling to stay afloat. I'm not saying it. It's the Ghana National Association of Poultry Farmers saying it. Do you see how truly reckless and careless we are? Do you see now why I say going to the IMF is meaningless unless it is firmly tied to sound spending and economy-boosting programs moving forward? These misleaders are the reckless bunch we keep electing. And as my senior, KSM, will say, these leaders think analog when the world has gone digital. How then can such a crop of people with antiquated ideas lead us into the promised land? Ghanaians, wake up, oh. Wake up! Else we shall continue to see our economy play buga with us. Oh, lo, buga, oh, buga. I do not know when our finance minister is going to stop sounding like some new and eager Christian convert trying to proselytize others. But his incessant biblical quotations and allusions are becoming increasingly annoying for some of us. I'm not the devil, no. But I'm simply saying if you get people into such a tight scrape, even being the good Christian you purport to be, Mr. Finance Minister, you don't solve the problem by slinging Bible verses at us. Someone please tell him, while he's still at post, thanks to Mr. President's pussyfooting, for which only God knows why, to spare us the Bible slapping and get down to fixing our economy. I mean, we tolerate too much hogwash in this country, really. The current cost of a loaf of bread is above the minimum wage, and even more than the new minimum wage plan for next year. And all we can do is lift verses from the Bible and celebrate as simply getting a staff level agreement from the IMF. Ah, well, I guess while some shoot for the stars and beyond, there will always be others shooting for the top of some cathedral. All I'm trying to say, Ghana 4, is this. If we shall change our fortunes as a country, we need to cease with this asinine tendency of voting into office inept leaders who only blow hot air, period. But as I end, let me just paint for you the true picture of where we are today. Come with me. This is a picture of Ghana's IMF bailout package. The level we've reached, staff level, program amount 3 billion, program type, an extended credit facility, and the program duration, 3 years. That means if this administration is not in power, just as the previous administration did, it would have hobbled another administration with its failure. Let's get to our next slide. The extended credit facility provides financial assistance to countries with protracted balance of payment problems. That's exactly where we are. Then you go to our next slide. Ghana's overall balance of payments position. Look at where we've shot up from. In February 2022, we're at just 935 million. By June, we had hit 2.5 billion. By September, 3.4 billion in terms of our overall balance of payment. Look at that within just a few months. Now, according to Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, on average, Ghana's import bill exceeds $10 billion annually and is accounted for by a diverse range of items that include iron, steel, aluminium, sugar, rice, fish, poultry, palm oil, cement, fertilizers, pharmaceuticals, toilet roll. Yes, you heard right. Toilet roll, toothpicks, fruit juices. What a country. When you look at Ghana's import bill, look at the drivers. Now, just look at that. Total import, 683,709 tons of chicken. Brazil and the US contribute 455,806 tons. The EU, 227. That is the general output. But according to the Ghana National Association of Poultry Farmers, like I mentioned, 80% of poultry ventures in Ghana have folded up due to this importation of frozen chicken. And if you look at the allocation for Planting for Food and Jobs 2023, look at that, 660 million. Yet how much are we expending on other things? Rearing for Food and Jobs is an initiative under the Planting for Food and Jobs. 120,000 layer birds were distributed to 1,000 poultry farmers. Each farmer also received a 120 capacity battery cage to house the birds. That's what we were told. This is what we were told. 120,000 layer birds distributed to them. But let's move on to the next slide. The question is, with all this huge level of investment, where are the results? Results nowhere here. Unlike Samsung, we have empty hands. In fact, we are importing more. So as I end, I just want to let us contemplate these matters. My name is Benjamin Akakpo. I say all these because I'm extremely passionate about Ghana and what her future, intricately tied to ours, holds. These are my blunt thoughts for you, served raw, hot, unedited, undiluted. God richly bless our motherland and make her great and strong. Welcome back on the AM show as we get into our big stories now, and we start from the front of the NDC's national elections. It's slated for Saturday, and we're going to see the likes of Esiedun Ketia, who has vowed to unseat Chairman Ofosu Ampofo, Sami Foto, as we know him. There are other contests, a string of contests. The General Secretaryship position, for example, we have Dr. Peter Boama Otokuno, a deputy in that role, who now wants to go one step further. We also have the likes of Fifi Kwete, Elvis Efria Ankra, all of them gunning for top slots in the party. But the question is, how will the chips fall? How will the cookie crumble at the end of Saturday? Is the mosquito going to be able to bite Ofosu Ampofo just as he did to Koku and Nyidoho? In fact, Koku will be joining me in the studio on Saturday as we talk about the NDC and its fortunes. Or will Ofosu Ampofo's campaign tag, Kumuntuntum Preku, actually be what carries the day? We'll be getting into those details as we host our guests this morning, just to foreshadow what it looks like in terms of the competitiveness at this level for the National Democratic Congress. Shortly, we'll be joined by Professor Ransford Jampo, political scientist with the University of Ghana, who will be sharing his thoughts with us. We'll also have, alternatively, Evans Mensah, my colleague, head of our political desk, and he will also be walking us through what we can expect when it comes to the NDC's national elections. Let me quickly, before I get to Professor Jampo, let me just say a very good morning to Evans Mensah. Evans, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
It's good to have you, and I know the excitement is building as we anticipate what the NDC, which is putting itself forward as an alternative to this ruling administration, will do on Saturday. But let's even start from last weekend, when, in fact, the National Youth Organizer position and the Women's Organizer slots were available. What are your takeaways from there in terms of what we can expect on coming Saturday?
You know, in the lead up to this, one of the things that clearly had risen to the surface very strongly is how acrimonious the build-up has been. I mean, in my time covering politics political events for 19 years, this is possibly one of the most acrimonious build-ups to a Congress that you have. I mean, there have been others in the past, but you have to go significantly a bit into the past to find them. I mean, in recent history, this will rank way up there. Before last week, Saturday, we saw that tussle, that pretty ugly tussle between the chairman of Ofusu and General Secretary Asiru Ketia. The level of the washing of the dirty linen in public is astonishing, considering also how important the positions that they're holding are. I mean, if we consider Ofusu as a national chairman, he's been the party, been there and done that, and you consider General Secretary Asiru Ketia another stalwart of the party, then you begin to wonder, they have done this many, many times, contested positions many, many times, very high, consequential positions in the party many, many times. And they will know, I'm pretty sure they've come up against opponents who were equally very strong and formidable. So you begin to wonder why there's such a bad blood between the two of them, to the point where they can't hide their resentment for the other. And it spills out into the open. The accusations, the counter-accusations. Let's talk about the press conference that was called of yesterday with the title Bombshell. So it is then no surprise that when you have the two leaders, the two senior-most persons at the helm of the party, national chairman, the general secretary, having such a dirty campaign, you begin to then not wonder too much why that then spilled over into the National Youth Organizer elections that we saw last Thursday, and then the violence that ensued there, because that's the youth level. They look up to the general secretary of the party. They look up to for some purpose of the party, the national chairman of the party, and if they can have a decent campaign devoid of acrimony and bickering and insults and name calling, why do you expect the young ones, the youth wing of the party, to have a different campaign? And I'm not surprised that we had such a violent outcome in last Saturday's election. We've seen the party condemn it, and they're hoping that it'll be different on Saturday. We all hope so, because we are going to be covering a Congress that we hope is simply down to the elections and let the best man or woman win.
All right. So you talk about this acrimony in the party and the tussle that has, engulfed the party. I'm sure no one will say that it doesn't bode some element of ill, because this is a party that considers itself, waiting to take over the reins of government, and it seems to be facing its own problems. But do you think, let's focus on the chairmanship race, for example. Do you think the reasons given by Asiru Ketia justify his wanting to go for this position? He's spoken about the fact that Ofusu has not been up to the task. In fact, that in the previous election petition, there were some things that had to be done, collation and the rest. He failed the party woefully. And there are a string of other things that have been mentioned by other people from the regions, saying that Ofusu is not the man for the job, and that if they retain him, the party will lose again. Put that side by side with the calls, like Ofusu himself has said, by President John Mahama and others, that Asiru Ketia should not have contested him. I mean, where does that leave the party? Are those reasons justified? And is it going to create some sort of schism, a rift in the party, do you think, with your experience?
As far as the rift is concerned, I think the rift has been created. I shudder to imagine what will happen after Saturday, and because one of them will win. Both can win. There will only be one winner there. And what happens with the loser? Will he concede? Will he work with the winner? That for me is a key thing. But then the justification of the reasons given, that's one thing that beats me, Benjamin. Because the two individuals involved here were responsible for one of the most significant, admirable performances of an opposition party ever in the Fourth Republican electoral history. Yes, the NDC didn't win the ultimate, the presidency. But if you compare 2016, their performance in 2016, to what they managed to pull in 2020, it is a remarkable improvement. And it's a massive positive that both of them should take credit for. One, the national chairman, the second, the general secretary. From a 2016 defeat of nearly 1 million votes to cutting down to 300,000 the next election. From a wiping out in parliament in 2016 to creating the first hang parliament in our Fourth Republican electoral history in 2020. Benji, that is a massive improvement. And instead of them both sharing the glory and talking about that, and they have the momentum on their side going into the 2024 elections. So you begin to wonder, why such bitterness and the portrayal of a doom and gloom situation?
Right.
When actually they have a lot going for them. And they're taking the focus away from the positives and talking a lot more about the negative. And well, this is the nature of politics. But this is internal politics. I haven't seen much of taking advantage, taking credit for what happened in 2020. I have seen more of blame game going on. And when I spoke to they should like something from a free anchor. When I interviewed him,
right,
he was careful to craft a message around the positives of 2020, and there were a lot of them, instead of looking at the negatives. And unfortunately, the general secretary and the national chairman are making it look, the glass, as you always say, half empty, which for me is a terrible campaigning strategy. It's almost to say that your ability to pull the other down further elevates you, which can prove disastrous in the end.
Right.
And so for me, that's how I see it.
Right. So in other words, instead of bickering, the party has a lot, in fact, to celebrate on the back of the successes post 2020 in the post 2016. That is in the 2020 elections on the parliamentary level in terms of presidential votes and all of that. But wouldn't you say that even as we've got to these crossroads in the party, so to speak, it is similar to some of the scenes we've seen in the MPP when it comes to the presidential slot and the differences, sometimes 16, 17 candidates. And foremost among them, Alan Kyerematen and Nana-Addo back then, and now Alan Kyerematen and Dr. Bawumia, the vice president, if they go toe-to-toe. Some would say that, okay, that could also create division, but guess what? The parties don't really mind, do they? Quick thoughts on that before we move on to Professor Jampo.
I mean, but then that will be the presidential primary, and of course, I mean, presidential primaries should be pretty tough. But this is the internal national elections to elect national officers. This is not a presidential context. It's not a context of who will ultimately lead the party and be a flag bearer. And so I understand if a presidential primary, it's much more acrimonious going into the national elections. I mean, these individuals, two individuals, and the others are just seeking to lead a party. Eventually, when they elect the presidential candidate, he becomes a leader of the party.
Right.
Which the NPC constitution says.
Right. Just hold for me. Professor Jampo is a bit pressed. Let's bring him in, and I'll come right back to you. Bernice?
Right, Prof. Good morning to you. Hello, Professor Jampo.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Prof. So your quick thoughts on the NDC's elections, which will be happening tomorrow. We've heard and seen what happened over the weekend on Saturday. We've also seen some of what has happened with regards to the main contenders for the chairmanship race. That's Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo and General Secretary Johnson Esiedin Ketia. And that leaked audio, the NPP is saying they owe Ghanaians and the judiciary an apology for going
going to court when the party knew that there was really nothing to defend there. What are your quick thoughts on how this is likely to pan out for Saturday's event?
Well, first of all, I do not expect the violence that characterized last week's events to repeat itself in the conduct of the elections this weekend. I expect that by this time, people may have intervened, and the elders within the party, I'm sure, may have spoken to all, and the experienced contenders themselves, I'm sure, may have spoken to their supporters that, look, you cannot embarrass yourself as a party that is seeking to get into power in the next election. So I do not expect violence again. I expect a healthy contest, and then an outcome that will be reflective of the wishes of the people. Politics in our part of the world, not only in our part of the world, but even in mature democracy, sometimes get personal and emotional. And so, in that case, you may have certain occurrences, certain utterances in campaigning that you can describe as, the belt. And then they do occur here and there. And so I know that in the lead up to the elections expected to take place this Saturday, so many utterances and leaked videos and the tapes, have been played out there. They are all characteristics, of how developing democracies conduct their political and their electioneering campaigning. But I want to hope and believe that after this, they will be able to close their ranks and to end adversarial politics to forge ahead.
It's interesting you talk about forging ahead, because that was what I was going to follow up with. After he won or retained his position as youth organizer of the party, I'm talking about George Oparado, his victory speech connoted that of vengeance, saying, look, no one should come and talk to us about making amends. We all know what has happened. The leadership saw what happened here. We also heard from Hannah Bisu, who also sounded quite saddened by the turn of events, saying that she wasn't treated fairly and all that. What are the practical steps this party needs to take in order to make amends and deal with the cracks that have developed?
I will tell you that, if you look at the fact that somebody you were expecting to support you never supported you and all that, you tend to be a bit emotional and disappointed. And it is normal for such utterances to come, especially out from people who felt disappointed. But I can also believe that by this time, if you are not hearing the same combatants talking again publicly, it simply should tell you that some other powers beyond them, they have intervened and spoken to them, and that's why they are calm now. So I want to believe that even if it happens same on Saturday, there will be powers beyond the two key people and the others to intervene, to be able to ensure that the all forge ahead and focus on their main ambition of winning power in the next election. So I don't see it as a big deal. People will be disappointed. People will not be happy. But at the end of the day, there are others whose interests are tied to the upcoming general election, and they would ensure that petty disunities and disappointments and emotions do not derail such interest. And so I want to believe that there will be cool heads, after the elections, regardless of how adversarial the campaigning will be or has been.
Benjamin here, Prof. I'd like to find out, you say you hope and believe they'll be able to close their ranks and that we wouldn't see the ugly scenes of the last...
I'm saying so because Oparado and Samidembi are no longer talking. And I'm telling you that tells you that somebody somewhere has intervened and has spoken to them. And I expect that same powerful force or powerful forces and elders within the party to be alert that in case anything of the sort that happened last week happens again, they will be alert and act with alacrity just to be able to ensure that the unity and cohesion of the party is not sacrificed.
Well, to add to that equation, there's also a certain Sam Jatta George who also put out some stuff on social media. But we'll see how that pans out. I'd like to find out, though.
I'm sure he's not posting again.
Pardon me?
I'm sure he's not writing again.
Well.
Yeah, I'm sure he's not writing again. So, I mean, the party itself commits a political suicide if it allows some of these things to fester and to continue. They cannot allow that. And so it is in their own interest to quickly fight the fire once they know it starts to burn. Otherwise, they themselves will be affected, as a whole. And so it's important that some of these things happen. And I'm happy that, as I've noted, the combatants in the last elections held just last week are no longer talking. It tells you that some powerful forces in the party have intervened.
Let me find out from you. You said somewhere that some people would be disappointed with what happened last Saturday. But are you disappointed? And I premise my question on this. When we spoke about the MPP, when they had their National Delegates Conference and the problems that arose, we all shared our disappointment. Are you not disappointed with what happened the last time at the Youth and National Youth Organizer and Women's Organizer Conference? What was that for you? How disappointed were you?
Who in his right senses will be happy with what happened? I mean, election is a contest of ideas. It's not about fighting and violence. And so I don't think this is a question that really begs for a response from me. I'm not happy, and I'm sure well-meaning Ghanaians, even including those who perpetrated the violence themselves, I'm sure the attention they have drawn to whatever they did, how bad it is, and they themselves may not be happy with what they did, because it marks the image of the party. And so we are all not happy about some of these things, because if they are not checked, then they may rear their ugly head in bigger elections, and then would be threatening the relapse of our democracy. And so it's not something that must be entertained or countenanced in any way. And that's why I'm saying that I have the hope that what happened last week wouldn't be a dress rehearsal for what is going to happen on in the coming tomorrow. Okay. I want to hope and believe that these seasoned and experienced politicians will comport themselves to the point that they would also want to speak to their support base and followers. I am aware that the party leadership and the other top echelons within the party have spoken to all of them on the need for them to rather focus on a bigger agenda. And so because whether you like it or not, there will be victory, there will be defeat. But I want to believe that whoever wins and whoever is defeated will still play a role in their agenda to capture political power in the next election. And so they should be able to close their ranks immediately after tomorrow's event.
Okay, before Bernice brings in Alex Segbefia, who is Deputy Chairman, NDC Congress Planning Committee, I just want you to briefly, before we even get into the candidates, Esiedun Ketia versus Ofosu Ampofo, is it going to be a problem for the NDC with having these two bigwigs facing off like this? We've been told that there were some interventions to prevent this from happening, but it has happened. Is it going to be a bad omen for the NDC?
I don't believe so. When they declared their intentions, people felt that it was going to be bad. But it's a democracy. Political parties are supposed to be internally democratic. And so anyone who qualifies and wants to contest for whatever position is at liberty to do so. It becomes problematic when you don't manage the campaign well, and it becomes problematic when the campaign degenerates into schisms and violence and chaos. But if they will be able to guard against violence and they will be able to guard against schisms and disunity,
Right.
I mean, it's not a big deal. They should go ahead and contest each other. But I know for sure that if anyone who gets defeated will still play a role, a big role in the party's quest to annex power in the next election. And so a defeat would not be so much painful for the one who gets defeated.
But let's come down to the General Secretary position. Fifi Kwete, Elvis Ifria Ankara, and the deputy now, Mr. Otokuno. What are the dynamics there for you, and how will they play out depending on who wins?
Well, it's also going to be a keenly contested election. You have a certain deputy general secretary, and you have Fifi Kwete of setting the record straight fame, former propaganda secretary, and you have Elvis Ifria Ankara, a very astute politician. They are fine gentlemen, and any of them can win, especially the two main contenders. I won't say two main contenders, the three of them. All of them has what it takes to win. And at the end of the day, they are hopeful that the delegates among the NDC will give us the best candidate in their view. But any of them is competent enough to be able to perform the role of the General Secretary of the party. So it's not a bad, the assemblage of candidates for this position is not bad at all.
Do you see any one of them as having the stronger edge?
I know it, but at the moment I do not, because people also listen to some of us. I don't want to be seen to have created an uneven playing field for all of them, for any of them. So I know that at least one of them has a stronger edge.
Prof, let me put it this way: Do you think incumbency, at least as the deputy, will aid Dr. Peter Boama Otokuno?
Well, incumbency would aid, but at the same time, incumbency has its advantages. There are incumbency advantages, there are incumbency disadvantages. And so there are people who clearly may not like the existing regime or existing leadership. And in that case, if they are punishing the existing leadership, then incumbency becomes a disadvantage. But at the same time, being an incumbent person, you may have worked extensively with so many people who may now be delegates. And so it becomes also advantageous to you. But that is not to say that he necessarily would have the edge over the two of them. I'm not saying that because we don't want to give a fair advantage, to any of the three. But I want to believe that the three of them, regardless of whoever has an advantage, regardless of that, the three of them, any of them will be able to, is most qualified to play or to serve as General Secretary for the NDC.
Grateful that you could join us this morning. Professor Ransford Jampo is a political scientist with the University of Ghana, and he's been sharing his thoughts on the upcoming Delegates Congress of the NDC to elect national executives. We've been joined also by Alex Segbefia, Deputy Chairman of the NDC Congress Planning Committee. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you and good morning to your listeners.
Exactly. How prepared are you? It's tomorrow. We've just barely got a few hours. What's happening? What final touches are you putting together for the Congress?
Well, we are happy with our preparations. Some regions have already started their journey towards Accra. That is the delegates. The accommodation has been sorted for them at what we call the Congress Village, and that is in Legon. And also at UPSA. And then we have also finishing off our touches to the actual venue, the stadium itself. we are setting up a NEC meeting this evening when all the delegates and leaders of the delegates are present. And NEC will have a meeting, as is traditional and constitutional, this evening. And once that is in place, we've tightened up on our security. We have been round, and we've looked at security from the angle of making sure that T-shirts that are worn do not depict any particular person, so there will be no internal campaigning on the face of it. Within the perimeter of the stadium, there will be no posters on the outer or middle perimeter. That is fine, but on the in the inner perimeter, there will be no posters allowed for people who are campaigning. We have engaged the security based on what we know can happen, especially after last Saturday. And we are very quietly confident that all things are in place, and we are ready to go come tomorrow.
Right. So you're reported as saying that the chaos we saw last week was not as a result of a certain list, as widely speculated within the media space. You say that there were some persons in the hall who were not supposed to be there. They needed to be cleared, and that may have created the chaos that we saw. How are you ensuring that persons who make it to the stadium tomorrow are supposed to be there, and those who aren't supposed to be there do not find their way there?
First and foremost, even those who are supposed to be there are segregated into categories. So observers, for example, cannot go where delegates are, and delegates cannot come to where the observers are. And then those who are in the VVIP area cannot necessarily go to the other delegate zone, even though they are all delegates, but they cannot. The natural segregation which the stadium provides helps us with keeping people in different places. More importantly, if you do not have a tag, in other words, you don't fall into one of a number of categories that we have, you're not allowed into the stadium. So there is no ability for general supporters things to come into the stadium. The supporters of the aspirants are given observer tags. They have a finite number, and they will be monitored and will be in the observer area where they will be seated. So the stadium offers us some level of protection in that regard. It assists us in dealing with security, and we are grateful for that. And because of the fact that we've put in certain things in place, we are quietly confident once again that what happened on Saturday cannot repeat itself.
Right.
Mr. Segwefia, Benjamin here.
Sure,
good to have you on board. I'd like to find out, so on the back of the dastardly scenes from the last engagement, the Congress, some 16 people were pointed to, in fact, with a bounty of about 10,000 cedis on each one of them.
Yes.
Any leads yet in terms of fishing them out? We've seen photos of these people. Any leads yet?
No. As you can imagine, I've been concentrating myself personally on this Congress. But we have opened our doors and we have informed the police, and we've informed them that we are happy to assist in any way possible.
Are you assisting?
To apprehend these people.
Are you assisting?
And I know that the police are closing in, if I can put it that way, on various individuals. But beyond that, it is not in my place to comment further.
But you say they are closing in on various individuals. My question was, are you assisting? What assistance have you given to the police?
That is at the regional level and at the district, not necessarily at the national, because these are people who may have been associated with people who were there either at the regional level, or, and when I say regional, I'm not talking of central region myself, I'm talking of people who came from various regions to vote. And as I said, I don't want to speculate on their sources or whatever, but I know that the advert that has gone out and inquiries that are being made, the police are confident that they are getting somewhere with it, and that is as far as I can go.
But Mr.
The question is best directed actually at the police.
Right, sure. But a quick follow-up. Does the party know who these people came there with or who they came to support?
When you say the party, if you're asking me, I don't know them, but I cannot speak for the party at this stage.
Right, but you're chairman of the planning committee. Were you aware if they came there with anybody or they came
No, I'm
to
not
offer
aware.
their support to anybody?
I'm not aware. I can't speak. You're asking me to speculate, and I said
No,
that
no, no.
I can't.
I'm not asking you. I'm just asking if you know. I'm just asking
No, I don't.
if you know.
I don't.
All right, sure.
I really
That's-
and truly, honestly speaking, I don't. There are all kinds of rumors as to who or who may. What I can tell you is that it was believed that two groups clashed. As to who or how, when, who they are, what they brought, I can't answer.
Right. Let me go back to that development. So I've interacted with some of your party people. They've spoken about beefing up the police presence and all of that you had between 80 to 100 police officers, and you expected them to be able to handle the situation. In that respect, what is the party planning on doing on Saturday?
Well, you know, with security, you don't give out your information because then people plan against it. So all will say
But
that.
I mean, if the numbers are going to be increased, that is something you can mention as a way of,
Somebody else can mention it, I wouldn't. I'm saying that the police are aware, the security are aware, the numbers are there to take care of what we do. It's two different events. We have 10,000 people this time, and we had 2,000 people, just the delegates, or 2,500 total. Even though there are 10,000, 9,000 delegates, we are expecting something in the region of 12,000 to 15,000 people. So the security arrangements are totally different. And they are enhanced, is what I can say to you, enhanced because of the tension, because of what happened last Saturday, and we don't expect repetition to be allowed to occur.
So you can say, at least with some level of belief that tomorrow we will not see scenes similar to what I mean. I'm harping on that because look, bullets flew at a point. 3 people were injured.
Don't say
and all
that.
of
A
that.
bullet flew, and a bullet didn't flew in anybody's direction. It was a warning shot given by a police officer, the bodyguard of a particular officer. So those are the facts. When you say bullets flew, there were no gunshots. There was a gunshot.
Well, there were scenes that necessitated the police to do that.
Well, if the particular police officer had been pushed to the ground, so his bodyguard immediately fired a warning shot, and that immediately diffused that particular situation. Yeah,
Before we talk about tomorrow's event, I'd just like to find out from you. There's been some sort of scuffle between Sam George, Sammy Jemfi, your party's mouthpiece, and Pablo Oparado on the back of last Saturday. Has that been resolved? Have the differences been ironed out now?
They've been all asked to cease fire, and I believe that is what is happening now. Everybody's been asked to cease fire. No more talks about it. Our focus is on Congress, and those matters or whatever differences should be dealt with through the proper channels. So I believe the former president Mahama actually invited 2 of the parties who are potential FEC members or FEC members elect. They will be appointed after this election. So the 2 were called because they have a greater responsibility. Sam George will be spoken subsequently through the parliamentarians, and everybody's been asked to cease fire. So that's, as far as I'm aware, has occurred, and there will be no chats on those matters further.
Oh, so those pictures we saw, so definitely Pablo had his interaction with the former president, and then Sammy Jemfi
I'm
did.
just going by the same pictures. I'm not going on the basis that I know that it happened for a fact, but I believe that that would have happened because there has been a ceasefire.
Right. Before we look at, again, tomorrow, what we can expect, I just want to find out from you. You've heard that tape going round, leaked tape in terms of Asiedu Nketia and some comments and all of that. How is the party taking it? And some have taken you to the cleaners. Richard Ahyangba of the MPP has said that, look, you should apologize to the nation as a party for leading us on a wild goose chase, so to speak, with the last election petition. How is the party viewing that?
Well, I'm not going to comment on those issues because at the end of the day, a lot of things are said when campaigns are going on. And it is not in my place now for me to dissect or say this. Why? Because you're talking to the referee. I'm going into a Congress as a referee. I'm deputy chair of a planning committee. And anything I say that would enhance a contestant or the opposite, denigrate a contestant, will not be appropriate or right. So actually, whatever even views are going around, even within the party, I can't comment because of my particular position. All we have said is that everybody should be more circumspect in the way they conduct the elections, about the party and about their opponents, in this case, their co-aspirants. So we have asked people to tone down on what they say and how they say it, and that goes generally to all of them. And that's as far as I can take it. There's going to be a postmortem quite clearly after the elections, and all these things will come up. And at that point, certain people will be in a better position to comment.
All right.
But at this stage, people like me cannot.
Finally, Mr. Segbefia, what can we look forward to tomorrow at the big one? What can people expect to see tomorrow?
Well, I think there'll be a lot of color. There'll be a lot of razzmatazz a bit in terms of the whole spectre and the whole this. And we are doing our best to ensure that we actually can stick to time. And I'm surprised you didn't ask me about that one, so I brought myself. And we want to ensure that we can actually get this within a better timing than other, congresses that we've held in the past, etc. So for us, timing is a big issue. That is what we are striving. As to the color and the speeches, and we think that it's something that everybody should tune in and watch and listen to, and would encourage those that don't have to be there not to come. If you are, on the outside, you don't have a tag, don't try and force your way in, and that sort of thing. You will be resisted from doing that for good security reasons. So that is where we are with the Congress. And I would like to say that thanks to the media who have been covering it and following it, and also kudos to the police, especially for last Saturday and the way they dealt with things. And even though that incident seems to be the talk of it, it was a 5-10 minute incident in the course of a 12-hour period and longer that we were there. So we like to think that it was a success, all things being said. And we now have those elections out of the way. We wanted a resounding success. Tomorrow, we believe we will have one, and we know that you will be there. No doubt, you can interview me when you meet me on the ground.
Yeah, definitely we will be there. And ahead of our political desk, Evans Mensah will be running us through exactly how we will be covering this event. But before you go, finally from me, Mr. Segbefia, just quickly run us through what the program will look like tomorrow. Briefly, please.
Well, we have the first part, which is the opening ceremony, where we go through the normal speeches, introduction, and deal with certain formats and groups or committees that have to be put in place and the standing orders. Once that is done and you have the chairman of the party speaking, you have the flag bearer of the party speaking as well. So that more or less forms the part one. The part two deals with the general secretary now addressing us of the general secretary's report of the party over the last 4 years, and then also the treasurer's report, which covers that aspect. We have as the part of the part one, we have solidarity messages, but we also have Benedict Alassi, who is now the executive chair of executive director, I think. It's not the Secretary General, of the Socialist International, who will then also be giving us a solidarity message, because now we actually have that position. She was elected less than 4 weeks ago. So that is, for some of us, a highlight. That's why I mentioned it. And then part two is, as I said, the General Secretary and the Treasurer's report. And then we go straight into part three, which is the election itself, where we then hand over to the EC and the election is conducted. We have 17 different polling booths. Of those 17, you have Ashanti split into 3, A, B, and C. Greater Accra is into 2, A and B, and Eastern is into 2, A and B. So that basically is to ensure that we can enhance swift voting, and we don't have to be there as long as sometimes we have been. And that is basically the program for the day.
Right.
Obviously, at the end, we will have a statement, we hope, from one of the unsuccessful candidates on behalf of the unsuccessful candidate. and then we'll have a statement from the newly elected chairman on behalf of the successful candidate.
Right, it's interesting. And when you mentioned solidarity messages, Benjamin and I remembered how the NDC delivered a solidarity message during the MPP's Congress. So we just wait to see what the MPP will do in response to that. But thank you, Mr. Segbefia, for your time this morning. We wish you all the best tomorrow. Back to you, Evans Mensah. So this is the election headquarters, and as we've done over the years, is to bring great coverage, covering every aspect. We are on the ground, we are on air, we are online. So just run the viewer through what tomorrow is going to look like and how we are going to bring them that experience.
So we start off at 8 a.m. And we're going to start off with a pile of research that we've done on the NDC and the various candidates. We're going to be walking through their history. We're going to look into a projection in terms of their own electoral fortunes in the party. And I'm looking forward to that, because once and this is just a 1 hour program between 8 and 9. Once you're done with that, you'll get a fair sense of what we believe may happen in the course of the day. In fact, if you follow what we did in the MPP's national conference, our predictions based on those analysis and the graphs and etc., everything checked out. And we intend to do same tomorrow. My team and I have done a bit of work on this in the last 2 weeks to get it right. And then we'll move into news file with something.
Evans, can you give us any sneak peeks ahead of tomorrow? Now you're holding all the cards to your chest. Give us a sneak peek. Come on.
No. I mean, I was listening to. I was tempted to interject when Professor Jumper was talking about the General Secretary contest, and I said, no, hold yourself. Don't do it yet. Don't do it yet. But it's gonna be interesting. I remember, I think it was Bernice who asked him who he thinks, and he said, "Oh no, everybody is, he was being diplomatic about it." But the facts and the research we've done does not put all of them on an equal footing. It doesn't. At least one person has an advantage over the rest. I mean, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. And we want to be basing this on the facts as we know it. And so you should join us at 8. You find out for yourself. And then there's a news file that will take over. News file will be heavy on the NDC as well, the crossing over as and when key things are happening. Right after news file will be yourself, Benji, taking the helm. And then our guests will begin to join us throughout the day. And then, of course, we're looking forward to the elections itself. And throughout the day, that research would inform the entire coverage. And so, Benji, you probably get a WhatsApp message or an email that would share with you the details of this. So you see today before close of day. That will help your coverage. And then, of course, we're waiting for the outcome as people queue and vote. We are hoping that there won't be incidents, there won't be, acrimony on the ground, etc. So that we'll just do very smooth sailing for everybody, and to the end.
Hello, Evans.
Uh-oh.
It looks like we lost Evans there. Evans was just running us through what
we'll try to get him back. And get
so Benjamin and the team will
But I was just going to add that we're hoping there will be no acrimony, but if there is, we'll be on hand to cover it.
Yes.
and
to let you in,
nothing will be hidden.
Obviously, like I say, okay, great. We have Evans back. Sorry, Evans, we lost you there. So you were just...
Yes, forgive me. Yeah, so we're hoping there'll be no acrimony. And then at the end, the results will be declared. And then we'll do a quick post analysis, which for me, I'm looking forward to. Because this will give you a sense of the party's trajectory. I'm curious about something Alex Segbefia said. That he said the flag bearer of the party will give a speech, but there's no flag bearer now. I mean, there is a 2020 flag bearer who...
I thought he said, Evans, that whoever is elected chairperson...
No. He did mention that the flag bearer...
I think that may have been a mistake. I don't know.
Yeah, probably a mistake.
He said the chairman will speak, the general secretary will give an account, and then the flag bearer will also speak. And I find it very interesting that they're describing John Mahama as the flag bearer. I mean, you can imagine that for me, really, Benji, is one of the things to watch out for tomorrow. We haven't said that enough. It is the body. Remember, the Dr. Kwame Dufour's people are also setting up the Ahoto feeding program on the ground, and you're going to be feeding 3,000 delegates. And so for me, that is going to be one of the undercurrents to watch. This rivalry, undercurrent between John Mahama, who is going to be speaking, and I wonder how, so for me, that's one of the key things.
And the feeding is going to happen right there on the ground. So it's going to be like we are present and your side is also present.
Yeah, absolutely. And remember, John Mahama has been giving this $1 million plus to organize this. And so everybody's trying to do something to show that they are contributing. And remember that the much of the fight we've seen between Asedu Ketia and Ofosu Ampofo is about who is the best John Mahama loyalist, who is most loyal to John Mahama. And everybody's trying to pitch his camp, pitch his tent in John Mahama's corner. And he's had to come out recently in a statement to say, I don't support anybody. I mean, so for me, that's going to be key. And the body language of the two will be interesting. And we're going to watch that. And the outcome of the election will tell you a lot about who is possibly, which of the two individuals, I guess, has the momentum on his side, depending on the outcome of the elections. We are looking forward to a great post-mortem. But that will end, by the way, with Probe. The Probe will do a proper dissection of this. And then, Benji, you're hosting that on Sunday, because that we'll get to see all the analysis proper after like a few hours of rest when the dust are settled. So that's our entire coverage, 360 coverage from tomorrow into Sunday.
Interesting. And like Evans has already mentioned, Benjamin will be here. The team on the ground will be led by MFA Apau.
Yep.
They will be there on the ground. And there will be a team here bringing you all the analysis and interviews with our guests and all that. There's also social media, which is very important, Benjamin and Evans, because there are many delegates or many party supporters and loyalists who wouldn't make it to the event, who may be sharing their thoughts on social media, who may be tweeting here and there. So would also be on social media, monitoring what's happening and letting you in on that as well. So this is what your election headquarters has to offer. The team led by Evans Mensah will be bringing you that comprehensive coverage.
Yeah. Anyway, Evans, we're really grateful that you took the time to join us. I can't wait for tomorrow morning so that you guys start sharing with us. We're all going to be finding out together with the rest of the world how this is going to shape up and what the predictions are. Evans together with Winston Amwa and the rest. Raymond Akwa also in there. Evans, thank you for joining.
Thank you very much, Benjamin.
All right. And that's Evans Mensah, head of our political desk. We also had along the line Alex Segbefia, who is deputy chair organizing this event for the NDC. And we also had, joining the conversation earlier, Professor Ransford Jampo.
And it's important to just mention that we're going to have Alidi Seidu, who is also
Dr. Alidi
Seidu. We're going to have Dr. Asasante. You're going to have Koku Anyidoho, who you may know as a former member of the NDC, loyal to former President John Evans Tamils. You may have seen all that happened this year with the celebration of the 10th anniversary of the passing of former President
Mills. Right.
And so I'm just talking about Koku Anyidoho being one of our guests.
Yeah,
It's interesting.
He'll be speaking to me, actually.
Yes, exactly.
So tomorrow from noon to 3, I'm going to be here with the bull, Koku. And we'll see.
We'll see how it goes.
I can't wait. I'm looking forward to that.
Right. So this is just by way of getting you prepped up for tomorrow, even as we prepare here on this side. Well, the Ghana Revenue Authority wishes to inform you that persons wishing to apply for VAT should do so via their online platform. So download the Taxpayers app on Google Play Store or the App Store. Applicants who visit the Taxpayer Service Centers will be assisted by officers of the authority to apply. Applicants are also required to indicate the taxpayer identification number, that's TIN, of the institution or organization on requesting the certificate so that they can receive a copy. Applicants should take note and be guided accordingly. Contact the GRA toll-free number 0800 900 110 or contact the GRA via these WhatsApp numbers 055 299 0000 or 020 063 1664 or send an email to gra.gov.gh for further inquiries. The GRA also wishes to inform you especially persons registered for value-added tax, that is VAT, that the Domestic Tax Revenue Division has commenced the implementation of an electronic invoicing system of VAT, referred to as EVAT. This involves integrating the invoicing systems of VAT-registered taxpayers to the Commissioner General's invoicing system. Taxpayers who do not have an invoicing system will be required to issue invoices using the GRA's certified invoicing system at no cost. Kindly once again contact the GRA's toll-free 0800 900 110 or via WhatsApp on 055 299 0000 or 020 063 166 for Benjamin.
Well, life in remote communities without electricity is quite difficult, particularly for essential service providers such as health workers. Living in Jantwa Krom, a farming community in the Wassa-Memfi West municipality of the Western region, is a typical example. An SHS graduate, however, is bringing his ingenuity to bear to change the narrative. He is using a Shangfang machine to power Jantwa Krom. Up next, we'll be sharing with you Samuel Kojo Brace's report on exactly that.
It's deep into the night, and I'm being taken to a community in the Memfi West municipality of the Western region, where I'm told the chips compound there does not have electricity. It got to a point I was wondering if indeed we're headed for a community. Upon entering this community called Jantwa Krom, I chanced upon a group of young people enjoying a World Cup game. So it's deep in the night here in Jantwa Krom. It's a farming community in the Memfi West district of the Western region. They are enjoying a FIFA football game, but the interesting thing is they are enjoying it without power from the ECG, but power generated in this community with the help of some farm machines. Without that, this whole community will be without power. After getting to know the power the community members were using was not from the national grid, I continued to check up at the chips compound in this community to find out more. I meet Bernice, the in charge at the Jantwa Krom chips compound.
When you talk of delivering health service, first of all, most of the things that people tend to affect people happens in the night. So, for instance, somebody goes to work, gets injured, or maybe a woman goes into labor in the night. Those things happens in the night, and that time there is no light. So sometimes somebody will come heading vaginal delivery. You have to use torch to conduct the delivery. Maybe somebody gets injured. You want to help the person. You have to use torch. So it's very challenging. In doing that, it breaks our back.
He confirms there is no electricity in the community, but with the help of a Chamfan, they are able to get power at the facility.
There's no light in this community, so people who live here want to make life comfortable for themselves. So individuals who have money have gone to purchase a machine called Chamfan that they have connected it to a meter that converts chemical energy to electrical energy. So it's their private use, and the head of the community, because of the work we do, they've gone to see them to provide that electro light. So when the light is on, they give us a letter. When they put it off, we are off.
Mieza tells me, however, that the power can only stay on for just a few hours.
So it's not that we have permanent light. It's just for some hours. In 3 hours, it will go off. And we need to manage that 3 hours to charge our phones and maybe other stuffs.
So I meet up with 22-year-old Gabriel Isaka, an SHS graduate who pursued general arts, whose effort powers the small community and the chips compound.
Pacho ohe ahasina community asina light no
as a access to electricity no nti do anwumesi ase na ase ayesum nti enema adwin bi wa se wokoto sa chamfa machine na oyusuma amateur ebetimi produce light no nti enema say try ahwe nti try nso na kama ebetimi produce light no edema community ni nyina.
He explains why he is not able to produce power for the chips compound and by extension the community the whole 24 hours in a day.
Nti ebedu maybe on say omutu design munti na ama like o kasa o produce from anopa to anwumre na untimi cost no ebe high nti sisia no akwa say be anwumre esum time kwa na ebetimi ade aso ede amom no from 6 p.m.
Okay.
Nti enkobo 11 p.m. na by that time no be upon na yakwa kodum no.
Isaka says the increment in the price of diesel is making him run at a loss nowadays.
For about 5 years.
Wow. And you know, what Obia saying?
First, no, na ye on say we use depending enema we use no fie. Say Bob no anyway no kwan first na week no na 25 cedis a week. And as you see, the way diesel no as a cost from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. no o kasa o ye no 46 a week krana entimi. Nti sisi anama ye na like we no e wo de an ye hu kom mo. Nti no 40 cedis a week no from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. Nti week no be sina me ho be kom at least a week bia no me tua light bay 500 Ghana cedis. That is almost 40 cedis now every week.
Surprisingly, for him, it is not much about making profit, but helping his community.
Also, we now say yes, the boa community. Until Ukasa, oh yes, I want say now do now or something 40 cedis in Crown, saying boy identity, Bebriama, Bebrina, Jayusu. The man may have 40 cedis, and once then town no now was no, not do was to make calculate the every week in the same amazing to make calculate and divide the move bianti or be free. So, Okasa, oh, check that and they're good when Suna or mono or most soon say I was so. Internet say, be a major and I may fat can I ban.
Young Gabriel Isaka is, however, looking forward to a brighter day for him to continue his education.
Nti mi na say mwa bia mfiri bia mantino ase me pese me tran fi na me adwuma kakransa na man sika to aso.
For Gabriel's inspiring story, it is my prayer that he gets help to continue his education and also for light to be extended to his community, Jantwa, for nothing at all for his sake. For JoyNews, Samuel Kojo Brace, Jantwa, Wasaminfi West Municipality, Western Region.
Really inspiring story by all standards there by my colleague Samuel Kojo Brace, and we hope that Isaka can get the help that he needs. Now let's talk about putting smiles on the faces of people. Let Single Parents Smile Foundation is looking out for struggling single parents to help them by empowering them get their confidence back in society, to set them up in businesses or revamp existing ones. This morning, Felicia Edematipo, the founder of Let Single Parents Smile Foundation, joins me. You know, it's the festive season and there's a lot to do in the spirit of Christmas. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
I just find the name of your foundation very, very interesting. Let Single Parents Smile. Yeah. That alone will put a smile on your face. Yes. But why that name?
I'm a single parent myself, and I went through. I was married, then I divorced, and I became a single parent. And I went through a process, and I went through a lot. And I realized that it's time for us, the single parents, to smile. Because when it comes to the society, you being a divorcee, or a single parent is like, oh, it's your fault.
Yeah, there's so much stigma.
Yeah, there's so much stigma. And what hurts or what is so painful is when it comes to Christmas, is the widows, the orphans, the street children. Even when in churches, they say, oh, all widows should come for chicken. And we, the single parents, you know, we are just there. Nobody thinks about us. We struggle on the streets, and little is done for us to put a smile on our face. So I decided to put up this foundation to help struggling single parents.
How long have you been doing this?
I've been doing this for the past 4 years.
Great, yes. Interesting. And how has it been like?
It's been fun. It's been emotional. It's kind of bring joy to me sometimes. And when I talk about single parents, it's not only mothers. We have the fathers. And when you meet the men, I mean, you will break down, because the men don't really come out because of their ego. So it's hard to even open up to you. But when they find that they can find confidence in you and then trust you, they open up and it will help them.
What is the most heartbreaking story you've come across doing this work?
I came across a man who came to Accra, and he came to work hard, and he put himself into the skills and became a mechanic. And then he went back to the village and then had a big wedding in the village and then brought the wife to Accra, a very beautiful woman. And then she put the woman into business, trying to help the woman. And later, the work wasn't going on, so she decided to apply for cleaning in a certain job. And then he went to meet men in ties, you know, corporate men. And then 5 kids. The woman just left the man with 5 kids.
She left the kids with the man?
With the man.
You know, we always don't hear the story being told this way. It's usually the men who leave because women are expected naturally to have more compassion. And so this is actually very, very strange.
Yes, and the man, the last born, the 5th born was 3 years. And then she left and went to stay with the man. And I called her, and then she was like, so now we have to help the man out with the children. He was dramatized. He didn't want to talk to anybody. He didn't trust anybody, especially women. So I was able to get close to him, talk to him, and then we tried as much as possible to help him smile.
I like that, to help him smile. Whichever way it came is just important. Because you know what a smile does, it indicates what's happening in the soul of a person, you know, internally. So it's important that we let single parents also smile. So you're having, I'm just seeing a photo here. It looks like a thrift shop or a shop that has been set up. Tell us exactly what we are seeing in this photo.
It's actually a charity mall. I realized that meeting a lot of women, you know, when you want to give something to somebody, especially this phone, the person has no choice that to take a phone, whether iPhone or yam. You want to give somebody a tin of milk, the person might want peak milk, but you have ideal milk. So I decided that, okay, if that is the case, then I'll set up a mall where the struggling single parents will come and shop for free, take whatever they want, you know, try it on. We'll have a showroom, try it on, and then come and pick it up. Most of them have not even been to the mall or even a boutique to try things off. So what I do is I pick up used clothes, neat, good used clothes, toys, books, anything. Even we have people give us furniture, fridge they are not using, we clean it up, and then we put it in the mall, and then these struggling single parents are identified and they come and shop for free. And I've been doing this across Ghana. I've been to Upper West, I've been to East, I've been to Eastern Region, Greater Accra, everywhere, yes.
How do you get sponsorship for these things? Because it's not easy. I mean, traveling alone, it's expensive.
Yes, yes.
So how do you get support for that?
From social media. I don't ask more. Give me 20 cedis. Give me 10 cedis. You have youth clothes, you give me. Somebody will give you fuel, 100 Ghana cedis, buy fuel and stuff like that. Somebody hear your story and you're like, oh, okay, we want to help. So this is how come. And sometimes companies also help, but this time I didn't even get one company helping me because, you know, this time things are a bit hard, but we are trying, yeah.
You know, I say times are hard, but they are harder on others.
Yes.
For some of us, it's a bit manageable. And as Adam was talking, I was honestly, and I'm not doing this to patronize her or anything, I was honestly just looking through my wardrobe and seeing what I can give, because there are things that, you know, sometimes ladies sometimes, oh, I'll need it, but it's been there for 4 or 5 years, and you've had no need for it, really.
Yes.
So how about this? Let's do this for Adam. You know what? Men, women, and I saw that you had some things for children as well, because these are single parents, and they may want to even give something to their child this Christmas and they don't know what to do. So there are some of you who have children who have outgrown the toys and the learning aids that they have. How about giving them to Adam so that another child can benefit from them? Those clothes you've put in the sack bag looking for an organization to deliver to, please let Adam have them so that some single parents can smile this Christmas. So Adam, you're going to tell us how we can do that. How do we contact you? How do we give your items or cash, whatever we have to offer?
Okay, so before then, we are going to do the biggest one in Greater Accra. That is Manchagbona on the 23rd of this month. It's going to be the biggest, my biggest charity mall. So I need a lot of clothes. I need
on
toys.
The 23rd?
On the 23rd from 9 a.m.
Where?
Manchagbona.
That's on a Friday?
That's on Friday, Jamestown.
Okay.
So I need clothes, I need shoes, I need textbooks. You know, after Christmas, we are going to school. So we need textbooks, we need exercise books, anything you think you give it to somebody to smile. Even if you bring a sachet of water, I mean, we'll take it, because some women can't even buy a sachet of water. So this Christmas, anything in your heart, money to buy fuel, to transport the items there, provisions, just a cup of rice. Just put it in a rubber and give it to me. A tin of milk. Anything you want to give it to us. You just give it to us on, just call me anywhere you are. If it's too far, we'll get close because of, you know, fuel and all that. And the number is 020-4424-967. And then 055-230-7725. So
please go over the numbers.
020-4424-967. And then 055-230-7725.
Are you on social media?
Yes, I'm on social media. Right. Just go to Let's Single Parents Smile. On Facebook, I have, I think, Instagram, Let's Single Parents Smile. I have a website, www.echoghana.org. When you go there,
and Echo is spelled
ECHOE.
Okay.
Yes,
ECHOE.
Yes,
right.
Ghana. And then you'll find us there. And then anything, you know, people don't need much. I always say that if you have the chance to help somebody, just do it, because somebody might be in the corner suffering silently, and that will make the person smile. Yeah,
I like that. You know, it's. I don't want to sound emotional, but I mean, just the thought of people smiling. You have no idea how a simple smile can spur someone on to achieve something great in life. That smile can give them so much confidence and know that they can make it. So this Christmas, if you're not doing anything for anybody, you can join forces with Felicia Edematipo, founder of Let Single Parents Smile Foundation. The numbers again, 020-442-4967 or 055-230-7725. Call her. Support her. She says 10 cedis is enough. 20 cedis is enough. I mean, when we put our forces together, we can make somebody smile this Christmas. And I'm committing to help you put a smile on somebody's face.
Thank you so much.
And I think that for once we need to also put some attention on single parents who are struggling to raise their children emotionally and financially. She also sets some people up. So if you have a job, you need somebody to help, if you can offer money or clothing, talk to Felicia. Maybe one of the single parents will be interested, and then you can give them a job to do. So once again, thank you so much for doing this, Felicia. Your final words.
I would say we need volunteers too. It's not only them coming to pick up clothes, but sometimes they need somebody to talk to. I had a charity mall somewhere in the village, and the woman came to me and said, "Can I talk to you? I'm sad. I need encouragement." So if you can come around, just come and talk to people, make them smile, encourage them that it's okay. You can make it. I mean, it helps. So we need volunteers too as well. Just come around, and then let's make all of us and struggling single parents smile this Christmas.
Felicia has got into a soft spot in me this morning. It may sound very simplistic, but look, these things we do, it just shows how we are as humans, and the very little things that make our souls rejoice, you know. There's a saying in Akan, "Arehokun sum sum." You know, when the spirit is dead, there's really not much you can encourage somebody. Once they've given up on themselves, that's it. But when the spirit is alive, when there's some glimmer of hope in there for that person, they could reach the sky and beyond. Please help us put a smile on the face of a single parent. Thank you so much for doing this, Felicia. And thank you for not sitting on your dream and using your own struggle as a means of reaching out to persons just like you. She's a single parent herself, so she knows what it feels like. And she just decided that I won't let this put me down. I will rise from it and I'll pull others along. Phenomenal woman. You're watching the AM show. When we come back, we'll get interactive with you. Do stay. Thank you so much for staying on the AM show, and what a show it has been, Benjamin. Today we have been talking politics. You've been giving us your blunt thoughts, very blunt thoughts this morning. We've also looked forward to the finale of the World Cup in Qatar. We know that final one. Would it be Messi or Mbappe? It's a PSG thing.
It's going to be Mbappe.
It's a PSG thing. You know me, I don't do predictions. But also this morning, Benjamin,
I want France to become the third country to do it back to back. Only 2 countries have done that.
Okay.
It's been about 60 years plus since the last country won a World Cup and won it again in the previous event. Yeah. So I want to see it happen again.
Well, it's now time to hear from you. The numbers to call 0302211691, and we will love to hear what your thoughts are. The World Cup, the NDC's Congress, politics, Benjamin's blunt thoughts, and this morning.
Oh, and the bit about Samuel Kojo braces, you know, that really got me.
I was just about to come to Benjamin, because this morning we've been talking to 2 individuals who are doing great things for society.
In their own small way.
In their own small way, which is very significant, because when you look at what this boy is doing, providing electricity to an entire community, that's the status of a hero in other places.
And the whole symbolism of it, because the Shanfan is attributed to negativity. Here is someone using the same thing for something positive. That was a super, I love it.
Yeah, and this lady, Felicia Edematipo, who is focusing on single parents and saying, look, let's give them a break, cut the stigma, let's help them, because some of them are really, really struggling. Our first caller, Abu-Baidoo from Kumasi. Hello, Abu-Baidoo, let's hear you.
Yeah, good morning. How are you doing?
We are doing great.
Well.
Yeah, thank God. Akakolization is over because Morocco is out.
No, it's not. Now I'm rooting for France. So it continues.
I want Morocco to win the cup.
I mean, that's what we would have all wanted.
But anyway, I'll go for Argentina with Messi.
Ayo.
Yeah, Argentina is winning. Thank you.
Thank you, Abu-Baidoo from Kumasi, one of our consistent callers there, sharing his thoughts with us.
Abu-Baidoo, we appreciate you, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Right, Benjamin, so we were just talking about the Chamfang and how, you know, the fight against Galamsey, it's one equipment that a lot of people didn't know about, and what is used for and all that. So to see that somebody has used that to produce electricity.
For a community, by the way, that is not connected to the electricity grid in the 21st century.
So do you know what I've been thinking? How about not burning all these chamfans?
Yeah.
Yeah. We have a caller from Tema, is it? Stephen. Hello, Stephen. Let's hear you.
It will be 3-1 against Argentina.
Right. Let's hear you, please.
It will be 3-1 against Argentina.
3-1 against Argentina.
Yes.
Okay, so you're also rooting for France like Benjamin is. Right. Is that all you want to share with us, Stephen?
Yes.
All right. Thank you for calling.
Okay.
Benjamin, you've got
I am fully in support
there.
of that proposal or that, forecast. I believe, honestly, I believe France will beat Argentina. I believe so.
That will be painful for Messi. And that will be also painful for his supporters and fans, because this is he was arm's length. At this point, why am I saying he was as if they've lost? Please, he is.
Was it 2014 when they made it to the finals and lost to Germany? Yeah, 2014. That was when Ghana was the only team to draw with Germany. They trounced every other team, beat Brazil by 7 goals to 1 or 2, something like that. But it will happen again to Lionel Messi.
Well, I don't know. If you're a Messi fan,
you'll cry again.
Let me know what you think. But like I'm saying, that would be extremely painful. There's this subtle Ronaldo Messi thing about the World Cup and the contest about who is the greatest of all time. There are those
if Ronaldo doesn't take it, Messi
let me finish. There are those who say that winning the World Cup will settle the debate.
I don't think it will be enough because, I think the BBC, someone was saying today, there was an Argentine commentator, a female one, pretty popular. But the point is, even if you want to go there, you would look at then Pelé and Maradona, Charlie, because they won these multiple times. Some have said that the skill, and you cannot run away from the raw skill of Lionel Messi. I feel that if you're talking in terms of raw talent, Messi is far more talented than Cristiano. But I love, and Cristiano will always be my GOAT, my best of all time, because he may not have as much talent as Messi, but with what he's done through raw grit, tenacity, the guy is great. So, and I feel Messi is also lazy with what he is. No, I'm not saying it. Pundits have said it. If he were to have a work rate similar to Cristiano's, I think no one would come close to him. But as of this point, Cristiano is better than he is.
In your opinion?
In my opinion.
In your opinion.
And an opinion that is shared by millions and billions across the world. You can come and join the family.
Hey, someone is whispering in my ears, including me. So, I mean, if you know me, you know that I support Real Madrid. And Cristiano's relationship with Real Madrid has been a very fantastic one.
Phenomenal.
And interestingly, when he left Qatar, he went to Real Madrid to train, and they just put it that he was just trained. Nobody should go ahead and say he's coming back and all of that. But I like him as a person. I think he is an example of what discipline and consistency can do.
The guy is so passionate.
He is very passionate.
Crazy.
I'm not so much of a Messi fan, but I don't feed into this who is better than who thing, because I feel
in the end,
everybody is unique.
It's true. It's true. But just because you mentioned Real Madrid, a certain Karim Benzema.
I like the way you said it.
Real Madrid.
That's
how someone.
Do you speak Spanish, sir?
Sí, lo hablo. Hablo español.
Oh, oui. No, sí.
So those in Madrid speak Madrilean Spanish. Some would say Castellano. And that is the D at the end. Like, instead of David, the V is a B in Spanish. Okay. And so you would hear David instead of David, as you would hear in other places. But I was just going to mention that Karim Benzema, who got injured right before the World Cup, his name is still on the roll of France. He's good to go. And the likelihood is that he could play in the final against Argentina, the world's best.
Will that be a blessing or a curse? Wait to see. Stephen we have a caller from Takwa, is it? Seidu. Hello, Seidu.
Oh, did we lose Seidu?
Sorry, Seidu. Please
oh,
forgive
so
us.
you facha why?
Please forgive us.
Facha, we're running our mouths.
But will that be a blessing or a curse? Because we've
Only
seen,
time will tell.
Because we've seen, look at Ghana, Uruguay, for example. Coach decided to bring Luis Suarez, who had not been starting in the previous
Suarez
games.
has not
and
been.
it
But
appeared
look at the
to be
impact.
magical for
Yeah.
them. And look at Ronaldo, who was starting and then was put on the bench. We saw, could Ronaldo
So Gonzalo
starting
Ramos come in.
have had an impact on the game against Morocco? Probably.
If he had started.
Right. We have a caller from Tamale. Hello, Pascal. Let's hear you.
Hello, I'm predicting 2-0 for France.
Right.
I'm a Quali AC fan.
Okay.
You're my guy. You're my guy. What's it? You're my guy. You're my guy.
All right. Thank you for calling us, Pascal. Pascal there in Tamale. I think that many Africans have a soft spot for the French team. And I saw a post, Benjamin.
Maybe it's because they are Kukurantumi All Blacks.
Majority of
That's
that
just
team
a joke.
Majority of that team is made up of boys from Africa.
There's a trend.
Yeah.
They started a certain trend from the days of Thierry Henry and Makalele and quite a number of them. Trezeguet.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a trend. And other European nations have caught on. Interestingly, when the Swiss played and beat Cameroon, it was Mbolo, who is of Cameroonian origin, who scored against them. So.
And that was sad, and the people went destroying his father's home. I don't think that is the way to go. He actually claims that he wanted to play for the team, but there were bottlenecks. As it is.
I'm not surprised.
You know, we know how it happens here. So let us know what your predictions are looking ahead of the World Cup and also the NDC's Congress. What are you looking forward to? What are you expecting? And, in the spirit of Christmas, if you'd like to share anything with us about all the good stories you've been hearing about people supporting their communities and persons who are vulnerable, we'd like to take them
But how about the bit about putting smiles on the faces of
Yes.
and all of that?
Benjamin.
I mean, how can we all,
Yes, please.
contribute?
Look, I mean, and we do this every time, but this is one of the few occasions where I've really been touched, honestly, by what this lady is doing, reaching out to single parents. And when I asked her what her...
Because the times are hard, though.
Yeah, and
The
I
times are hard.
asked her, what's that most heartbreaking story you've... And this is a man with 5 children, with the same lady who's left him for another man. And according to her, she called this lady, and the lady said, I also deserve to marry somebody with a tie, who wears a tie. Wow. 5 children.
So the man is struggling with the 5 kids.
Exactly. You know what? Just think about it. For those of you who are married, taking care of your children, Benjamin, even bringing the man's effort and the woman's effort together, sometimes it's not easy. And then you have one person, not only the financial bit, the emotional, psychological bit of raising children alone without the support of either a mother or a father. Look, Benjamin, honestly, that alone can make you go gaga. And so she talks about a lady who came and just said, can I talk to you? I'm sad. And so please, you can volunteer, you can come. She says, look, join her on Friday the 23rd at Jamestown. She'll be putting up what she calls a charity mall where there are clothes, shoes, toys, anything that single parents can benefit from. And they pick it, at their own, pleasure, for their own choice. So you can call her on 020-442-4967 or 055-230-7725, or just go to Let Single Parents Smile on Facebook. The smile is in capital letters, and then just go there and support this lady and what she's
The 23rd, you said?
23rd, on a Friday. So she says, look, even if you don't have anything to offer, just come and talk to somebody. Sometimes people just want somebody to talk to. So you can volunteer, you can offer your ears, your heart, your advice.
Bernice, let's talk on this. Things are going through my mind. Let's see what we can do.
I agree with you.
Anyway, before we go, it's all about the Adom TV Festival of 9 Lessons and Carols 2022. Are you ready? It's slated for Sunday, the 18th of December, at the National Theatre of Ghana at 7 p.m. Don't miss it for anything. A rib-cracking fun reenactment of the birth of Christ from your favorite Kumawood stars. Yeah, Matilda Asare, Dada Santos, Michael Afrani, Awoya, Otele, Kolege, Atemuda, Salinko, Shifo, Don Little, Wayosi, and more. So guess what? I'm wondering, who would play baby Jesus? Mary, the caretaker, Joseph this time around. It's only one show featuring performances from Soul Winners, MOG, and the Akuya Achere Memorial Youth Choir. A ticket goes for 30 Ghana cedis per person, and seating is in advance using our digital sales platform. So Buy your tickets using the short code *713*003#. That is *713*003#. Select one, then select two. Adom TV Festival of 9 Lessons and Carols to buy your ticket from the comfort of your home. It's going to be a night of fun with your favorite Adom presenters at the National Theatre of Ghana, Accra, on Sunday, 18th December 2022 at 7 p.m.
And it's kindly brought to you by Young Vita, infant cereal with milk, ADB, Truly Agric and more, Mansua Herbal, Just a Wamba, Franco Trading Enterprise, Phone Papapa, Any Printers Papapa, Fie, Mikado Conference Center, Service Unlimited, Levon 2 Feminine Wash, Stay Fresh to Impress, Calipo, Abi You Know Data, Midimafo Herbal Clinic, Oyarifo Midimafo Niwa, CD Low Price Masters, durable and affordable, Tumirua Herbal Center, Ayari Safie, Rockstars Roofing Systems, the key to all your roofing needs, Duffy's Health and Beauty, the hand of God, Kwa Mixture, the medicine that works, Compu Ghana, passion for technology, KFC, it's finger-licking good, and Kimonsi Ventures, the pride of Africa.
And we are proud that we've brought you another fantastic show this morning. That's how we do it. The two of us, tag team. Check like the Calipo.
So for now, it's goodbye from Benjamin and I. Up next is News Desk with Samuel Kojo Brace. But don't forget, tomorrow we bring you comprehensive coverage of the NDC's Delegates Congress. Do stay with us. This is your election headquarters. Enjoy the rest of it.